Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk. Live from Sherwood Forest in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia, Hour 1 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. I am your lovable, huggable, mid-morning chat host, Eric Von Haessler. Surrounded by the Doctrinaires, Tim Andrews is here, Autumn Fisher is here, and Jared Yamamoto is here. And Jared, before you speak, let me just say, oh. That's how I feel this morning after that performance last night from our who still loved, still beloved, still believed in Bravos.
Well, there's a theme going on this week, Eric, and you know what that is. Remember, no matter what, win or lose, we booze.
Yeah. See, now you're making it all about yourself.
Win or not, there's pot.
I'm kind of... Well, we all have our different lifestyles and choices and, favorite poetic ways to sum them up, but... I will. I think it's kind of actually good for the show. I hate to say this. Nothing's good about the Braves dropping Game 1 to the Cardinals, but I think that because that happened, you've heard of Scared Straight. They used to take those kids to the prisons.
You want to end up like me?
Yeah, the prisons. I think after that game, that works in alcohol too, and I think our producer Jared Yamamoto was scared straight after that game. I think if they would have won, we'd be dealing with a much more incapacitated Jared Yamamoto.
Yeah, there's nothing more sobering than seeing Luke Jackson coming out to pitch in the seventh inning.
That'll wake you up. That'll wake you up. Let me just say this. I feel like, first of all, still love the Braves. I got to say, the Cardinals I haven't really watched this year. That's a dirty, ugly squad. And listen, I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way. What I mean is, I guess I should have said gritty. I don't know what. Catcher, I didn't even know he's still playing.
Yadimir Molina.
Oh, my goodness.
I can't say.
Yadier Molina.
I would not want to piss that guy
Oh,
off.
the tattoos? He's got gang connections.
That's an allegation.
Well,
you can't say that.
I don't know, but look at him.
You can't say
You can assume.
Oh, that's a good argument.
I'll assume. I'll assume.
Don't assume. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the guy looks to me like it wouldn't take much that he would say, you know what, I'm just going to punch that Eric Von Haessler in the face, and he'll be in the hospital for 6. That's all I was saying.
All right, I apologize for being so extreme.
You should be apologized. The guy's in town, for heaven's sakes, just because he beat your team. Oh, it doesn't take him listening. Believe me, you got the St. Louis faithful. Boy, they looked like they were being annoying in the crowd. But listen, I think in most of the stuff that I'm reading about that, I think they're missing the point. A meltdown in the bullpen and all this. I don't agree with that. And I love Dallas Keuchel, but Dallas Keuchel got $13 million for this season for one reason: to hold down Game 1 in any playoff series to the middle of the 7th. And where did he got to about the 5th?
Yeah, middle of the 5th.
Yeah, and it was tough. It was a struggle. It wasn't. If you look at the stats, it wasn't terrible, but it was getting worse. And I was surprised as I was watching that when Max Fried struck somebody out, that was the first strikeout of the evening for a Braves pitcher. So I'm not trying to be negative toward Dallas Keuchel. Dallas Keuchel's a great player, but I think that he has to look in the mirror today and say, I did not do what I was paid to do. Because overall, he was paid for holding down Game 1 through the 7th inning in any postseason game, any postseason series that we would be in. I'm not hating on Dallas Keuchel. I'm just giving maybe a little more of a break to the bullpen, who got this weird thing happening with what's his name? Is oblique.
Shane Green.
Why am I? Yeah, no,
it was Green, right?
I thought it was Chris Martin.
I'll check on that one. I can't remember exactly who got hurt.
You were there. You were so drunk.
No, I didn't understand why they didn't keep Max Fried
I'm a WSB. I expect within 35 to 40 seconds I'm going to know the answer to this. So he goes out there, just throws a couple balls to get ready and then hurts himself before he even pitches to anybody. And then he's out of there. Now that jumbles things up. And I just feel like, yes, the bullpen did not come through, but you needed your number one pitcher in the first post game to hold his own to the middle of the seventh before I can really put that on the bullpen.
It was Chris Martin that
Chris
pulled
Martin.
Yes.
So and now that's just a weirdness. That's just strange. And then and before that, Fried had to be used because Keuchel couldn't get. Were they going to use Fried if Keuchel makes it to the middle of the seventh? I don't. They had him there. They had him there. They were ready, but I don't know that they were going to use him no matter what. They had to use somebody to get from, get through 6 and 7 or get through 6. And Fried did his job, but there he's used up a little bit. I just think everything is a little more solid if Keuchel holds his own. And it looked like the Braves could have won that, as Jay Black says, stole it. I have to say this. I stopped watching Braves games after they clinched because I figured, well, they're just going to be resting people. And it doesn't matter at this point. I'm not going to watch those games. So they did not look like the team that we've been watching all year. I was watching, especially early on. They opened up really flat. It looked like the Cardinals in their dugout were looser, having more fun. They're on the road in a sold-out stadium, and it seemed like they were looser. And I'll say one more thing. Acuna is great. If he doesn't get hurt and he stays on this trajectory, he's probably going to have a Hall of Fame career. And he did a lot of good things last night, but he needs to get his head out of his rear end. I mean, he had an inning where it was 2 boneheaded moves. He's got to get over himself. I know he's young. It's like, when you're young, and you're good at what you do, there's just an arrogance that almost can't be coached out, I suppose. But if anybody is listening to me right now and you're really close friends with the great Ronald Acuna Jr., just for a week or so, stop telling him how great he is. As a matter of fact, just make things up. Tell him you don't think he's that good, because I think he needs to. He is so good and so talented that he could show up half asleep and you'd still get something. But if he could get over himself and focus in, he's not getting the most out of Ronald Acuna Jr. That's how talented and how great he is. But the admiring and not getting to second base. I don't know what happens after that if he gets to second base. Maybe nothing happens. And overall, I say he was pretty solid last night.
Yeah, he had a home run in the 9th inning.
But that one inning, man, where you're just like, get over yourself. You're great, you're rich, you're young, you're good looking, you've got it all. Now forget about that. Put it in your back pocket and move. The arrogance, just get rid of it. That being said, I still believe in the Braves, but and I know, I'm going to talk to Jay Black later on. Given the way that game went down, how deep into the bullpen, losing a pitcher, and losing game 1, losing home field, man, they're in it right now. We've seen them battle back, but it's not good to need a miracle going into game 2 at home.
Which again, tonight,
yes.
4:37.
That's right.
First pitch. Be sure to listen to WSB for all the traffic reports getting you in and out of SunTrust Park. Yeah. We're all going to be nice and happy. We don't care what happened last night. It's going to be great.
On.
It's going to be great.
And well, you're such a shill, but you're good at it. I have to admit that you're good at it. Are we going to torture Mark Aram again and make him do another live show from 195 degree SunTrust
Yeah, buddy,
Park?
out here sweltering, pal.
I don't know
I heard a little bit. He's like, I'm melting out here.
Yeah, buddy.
I don't know how they did it. I know that where our seats are, we were way up on the third base side.
Yeah.
And the sun didn't set until 7:15. So every other inning we were coming up, going up, sitting in our seat, and then going down to watch it.
He told me his girlfriend was starting to melt. He had to get her out of there.
Yeah, I felt bad for her. She does not do well in the heat, and I'm like, and she's like, I'm good, and she's, just sweating bullets, and I'm like, okay, all right.
Next time there's a game like that's really important that you like, and it's being played on a 150-degree day, you might want to check out the TV guide there. It turned out it was televised. You were able to watch it in air conditioning.
Yeah.
You missed your opportunity.
Unbelievable.
And then when I got really, really mad, I just tuned over to the NFL game and saw Russell Wilson throw maybe the best touchdown pass I've ever seen in my life. All right, now let's go do this.
Headlines for Friday, October 4th.
That wasn't a headline. That Bravo stuff, that wasn't a head. Oh, one more thing. I think, this is my speculation, I think all these guys, not all of them, but many of them, McCann, Freeman, others, I think we know what their health problems are, but I think they're a little more banged up than they're letting on. I think Snicker knows that, and I think that's why. I mean, he pulled McCann pretty early. I know he's slow on the bases, but he'd already hit a single, and you needed production. But I think Snicker knows going in, I got to manage the time here for 3 or 4 of these guys because they're really close to the edge of not being able to play here or there. I think they're nicked up a bit more than they're letting on. All right, go Bravos. We love you.
We're going to take care of business tonight, Eric.
Aren't we? Are we not?
It's going to be okay. 97 degrees again, a little earlier time.
Oh, is that
We'll melt even more, but we'll be fine.
Hey, I hate to say it, but it was 100 degrees on the field for both teams. So it seemed like the Cardinals were just having fun.
They walked a lot of people. Cervelli got robbed on that strikeout. And that would have been a run.
That was true. That was, you know what? I forgot about that. That was, what was it? They said that he swung when he didn't?
They said he broke a swing, and he did not.
No, he did not.
Yeah, it was nowhere near. Yeah. You know what? That's when I knew that I was getting too emotional because I was standing up. I was like brushing my teeth and stuff at the same time while watching that. I was standing in front of the TV in my bedroom, and they went back to that, the ump that made that call, and I pointed at his face. He was right in the screen. I went, "You're a jerk!"
Infield fly rule.
What are you doing, Eric? What are you doing? Yeah, all right.
All right, on his way to the Villages in Central Florida, President Trump stopped and talked to some reporters, and he urged another foreign government to probe Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter.
Here we go again. Are we just like reliving history here? And it's not only that he's doing this, that the press is responding to. This is just like the beginning of the Russia thing, where he just says whatever he wants to say, no filter, which is fine. You can parse that as a reporter, say what's good, what's bad. As people who are going to vote the next election, you can decide whether or not it's presidential. But the breathless reporting as if they don't expect that Trump is going to, say things like this, make jokes from time to time, go after the people who are going after him. I don't see how that's news. So this is much like Russia. If you've got Hillary's emails, put them out there. That was a joke. I saw that in real time and knew it was a joke. It was responded to breathlessly by CNN as if it was an urgent request. A conspiracy in front of 10,000 people at a rally. The only conspiracy I've ever seen opened up in front of 10,000 people at a rally. But now there's this one, and this I don't know if it's humorous, if it's flippant, or if he means it.
I'm sure that President Xi does not like being under that kind of scrutiny, where billions of dollars is taken out of his country by a guy that just got kicked out of the Navy. He got kicked out of the Navy. All of a sudden, he's getting billions of dollars. You know what they call that? They call that a payoff.
I think that we jumped one there. What you set up would be the other piece of audio.
China should start an investigation into the Bidens, because what happened in China is just about as bad as what happened with Ukraine.
This is, both sides have lost me. I'm just going to tell you that. If you're listening to me, that's cool. If you're into one side, if you're into the other, whatever. My job is to tell you the truth. I've been watching politics with great interest since my late teens. As far as I'm concerned, this is the worst bunch of politicians, top to bottom, left to right, up, down, over, of my lifetime. And it's just on. This is just Showtime at the Apollo. I know that you, Jared, probably don't know what the hell that reference is to, but Tim knows what it is. This is going to be, I would call it the campaign of Your Mama is So Fat ... I mean, it's
your mother is so fat when she sits around the house. She sits around the house.
I think that as much of the electorate is going to evaluate this, not based on what's best for the communities they live in, the country they live in, but who got the best zinger? Man, oh man! It doesn't matter if it's Biden or Warren or Trump. We have been reduced to some. I don't know if it's infantile, but it's not much. It's not much more advanced than toddlerism, that's for sure. I think that we're just so damn fat and happy. We don't know how good we have it, and we really believe that why do an old-fashioned, boring election? Let's have Showtime at the Apollo. Let's have the first campaign of Your Mama's So Fat. So CNN, you can be breathless all you want, but you're going to be out of breath. Because calling Schiff a lowlife and calling Hunter Biden's son a loser who was kicked out of the Navy is not the end line. It's barely the beginning line. And thank you, CNN and MSNBC and Fox News and Washington Post and ABC and all the rest, because you're just as, let me use the word that people love to use, complicit. Usually if you hear somebody talking politics and they use the word complicit, you know you're speaking to a moron. But when it comes from Eric von Haessler, you can trust that it actually means something, because I don't use the word with a hashtag in front of it. You want to know why I'm convinced that I am smarter than 98% of the people who will go to the polls and vote and the people they're voting for? Because nothing that I bring into a voting booth with me, as far as information or ideas, will come from any source that has a hashtag in front of it. That alone, and the fact that I've already got 5,000 steps in before I started the show, those are two reasons you know that your host, Eric von Haessler, is always ahead of the crowd.
The Von Haessler Doctrine.
They've got such good chemistry.
Making listeners laugh every day.
It's priceless.
9 to noon on 95.5 WSB. Atlanta's News and Talk.
That was a filthy joke that I just made off air. It's Friday, you know.
It was funny.
It was funny. Well, as most filthy jokes are.
Involving the...
You got it on tape, Alan says. All right, well, it's always good to know it can be used against me.
Let's just say the Joker will be around for a long time.
Yes, the Joker. The Joker opens up today, right?
I think it technically opened up last night, but yes, this weekend. Yes,
it's
the
out
first weekend.
there. It looks good. It looks good. I'm going to wait for it to come to my basement. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go out, and it has nothing to do with the phony baloney hysteria that's going on around it. People are reporting on violence at Joker premieres as if they've happened.
Yeah, the FBI will be monitoring.
Nothing has happened. And there are plenty of movies where people kill other people. I don't know if this is news to anyone, but there's plenty of movies where, and I guess people are a little worried that there's what they say is maybe a sympathetic look at what turns him into, and I've got a feeling there's going to be a subtext of it's kind of Trump's fault. I sort of feel like a large effect of Trumpism is that the morality goes out the window, and I don't think it's going to be over the top with that, but I think there'll be a little bit of that in there. But because De Niro, there's a couple of funny, interesting things in movie-dom going on there. De Niro is playing the host of something that looks like The Tonight Show, and there was a famous movie where De Niro played a guy who took the host of a show like that hostage.
Jerry Lewis,
because De Niro was a bad comedian who wanted to be on. And the Joker himself, turning it back to De Niro, it seems to me like this is going to be a little bit of an homage to Taxi Driver and that kind of weirdness that makes you violent. That's right. This is the last day of the oppressive heat. Am I right?
I think so. Kirk Mellish at least is predicting that.
Well, yes, and if Kirk says it, it's got to be true. Does it break tonight or early tomorrow?
The wedge pattern we've been in.
I've been hearing you, Kirk.
Southeast. Yeah, the southeast and the wedge pattern.
Yeah, I got you. I know, but it's going to lift, and then we're going to get the cool air. Let me tell you something.
Not right away. We'll have some showers. Don't expect a lot.
I don't like people who complain about the weather, but the last few days, I'm complaining about the weather. Who do I complain to? Is it Kirk Mellish?
Kirk Mellish.
I make my
you
actual
have to file it online.
Lodge my complaint to.
Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be great. I'm looking at his 5-day forecast on WSBRadio.com and on the WSB Radio app at the same time.
What a shill.
And on Saturday, the high is 81 degrees, guys. That sounds heavenly.
Yeah, what's the low?
The low, 65.
Oh, my God. I'm going to wake up at 6 in the morning and just lay outside by my pool naked. Buck naked. There you go. Let's do this.
He's a misanthrope. He has a dark heart. And he needs a good psychiatrist.
New York.
It's Greg Russ with stories from Studio B1.
Greg Russ from Studio B1. Do you agree with me that we don't use the term buck naked nearly enough anymore?
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking about that yesterday, actually.
You know,
I had a whole conversation with someone, a stranger at the bar.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what
we
word, what term we're not using enough? Buck naked.
How does something like that just sort of fade away? Why buck? Like a deer as
You're
naked
like
as a but I mean that applies to any animal.
Well, people have bastardized it and turned it into butt naked.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's not bastardization, Autumn Fisher. That's stupidity.
I'm
That's
butt
ignorance.
naked. I like being butt naked.
I've noticed that, and anybody, I think we'd all agree with this. This is something that I've noticed. Stupidity is viral. It seems to get around, passed from person to person, until finally you're just like one guy in the middle of a crowd of boobs.
Butt naked in the middle of boom.
That's the only place to be.
It really is. It's the only place to be.
Oh, you're talking about boobs like morons. I was thinking about the body
I was
part.
speaking metaphorically, not you with your filthy mind. All right, what do you got from?
I would like to tell you first. I've already seen Joker. I went yesterday.
Oh yeah. By the way, I apologize because it's not the Joker. It's much like Ukraine, Eurythmics, and Foo Fighters. It's Joker.
The Joker.
And you're assigning things to the film that don't exist in it. You think there's a Trump narrative.
No, hold on. I did not say that there was a Trump narrative, and I didn't say it was definitely going to be there. I just speculated there might be the things that made the world amoral, right? It takes place in a world where no one trusts each other, right? I mean, no one trusts each other.
Everyone is crap in the movie.
Yeah.
That's the way it's presented. It doesn't tell you how you got there.
Okay.
It's set in the early 80s probably, and things are already bad. But, the critique that it's already out there before people have seen the film about how it's going to incite violence and it's giving liberty for, masculine toxicity.
There you go.
Toxic masculinity, thank you.
Yeah. This bothers me a lot because people are trying to control art at this point. Art's sole purpose is to consume it, and it makes you think something. And if that's what you come away from that film thinking, that's your own thing. But trying to shut it down before and control the actual message,
Greg,
it's really bothering me.
This is something that I actually was thinking about yesterday, and I'm going to say left and right, but I don't really mean in real politics. What I mean is almost every artist that I know or know of is on the left. Now, there's a spectrum there, from far left to moderate left or whatever. But in general, and it's not always true, most artists are on the left. And artists all my life have always fought and worried about some forms of censorship, somebody telling them that they can't do this or they can't do that. And without getting political here, I think it's kind of bizarre. And I think artists are not dealing with it because they don't understand it. Everyone thought it was going to come from the conservative side. The idea of shaping art and what it can be and what it can't be. And it seems to me that we've created not government censorship. We have these block captains in our society that just make you keep your mouth shut because you don't want any trouble. And the only people who are really kind of pushing back on it that you could call artists are some of the old school comedians. They're seeing what's happening to comedy in clubs. And even they have to do it with kid gloves. So without being political, I was thinking kind of the same thing. And I think artists aren't standing up because they can't figure this out. There's an awful lot. Don't get me wrong. There's still the Puritans on the right, and there's still the people who want to shut you down over there. But I think the threat to art now is this strain in culture that says you can't say things that trigger people. That's what we're talking about here, right? The Joker will trigger people, right?
And it shouldn't trigger anyone. I don't know if you walk away from that film thinking that you want to be Joker, that's a model that you want for your life. You're already a sociopath. Because I think one of the concerns was they present Joker in a sympathetic light. At first they do, but they do a very good job of switching that. And by the end, you think, wow, what a POS.
Now, let me ask you this. This is important to me because I think I'm going to see this movie. Probably not in the theater, but when it's online. Is it gratuitously violent? Is it?
There are moments, yes, but it's not as much as you would think. I think they're used effectively to help show the transition. Also, the fact it is a comic book movie, it could live on its own without. But if you know Joker, seeing the transformation is done well. I think people were worried about the fact that Joker always had a muddy history and there was a mystery there. Even with this, there's still a mystery. They do a good job of keeping that intact.
Well, it just seems to me like Batman is the only series that I have any interest in when it comes to superheroes.
Because you only care about the rich.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you don't get hurt.
Right. Of course.
So anybody in the top 1%, I'm out to protect. You know how I am. Yeah, a lot of people. Johnny Cash was for the little people. I'm for the big people.
That's why he became Batman. He wanted to preserve his house and his money.
Exactly. He knew these radicals. He knew Elizabeth Warren might be president one day. You got to make sure you get out there and protect his stuff.
It's my stuff. Don't touch my stuff.
So I'm only interested in that. That's the only canon that I actually kind of follow in these things. And I just gave up on it. Like the Joker, it seems like every time they reboot, something else made him be the way that he is. It seems like every time they reboot, it's something else that made Batman.
Originally, he fell in a vat of acid and became crazy, and his skin changed color.
Is that and then he covered it up with clown makeup, and then he took on
covered the clown face that came because of the chemicals. He made himself look normal.
So it's just like one of those things where you go, okay, they just reinvent whatever that storyline is, and this is a new reinvention, right? I mean, right?
Yeah, it's a new. It's loosely based on the Killing Joke, which does have a history of the Joker wanting to be a stand-up comic that failed.
Now let me ask you this: this has turned into a review of Joker, but that's fine with me. No, I mean, I haven't seen it, so I'm interested. I'm interested to know. Were there any allusions? You said I was wrong about the first thing, but was there any allusions to the two De Niro things? De Niro being in that movie about wanting to get on the Tonight Show type
King
of show.
of Comedy?
King of Comedy.
Oh.
And then also it seems like Joker is kind of in the same space as Taxi Driver, like with the loneliness turning into weirdness, turning into violence.
Yeah, but they have it. I don't think they even tried to pretend that wasn't an influence on this film.
Right. That's what I mean. Kind of an homage. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The way it's shot is beautiful.
It looks good.
I think it's worth seeing, but if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, because people feel like they need to write the reviews that fit with the story of society, that they're not even critiquing it properly.
Yeah. No, well, that nothing is being critiqued properly in this country. Have you noticed this, Greg? I'm becoming more. Not anti isn't the right word. Neutral, dispassionate about everything in culture. I don't believe anybody is sincere. Now, I've got to be wrong about that. Somebody's got to be sincere.
I'm sincere.
Well, you're sincere.
And you see what I get for it. You weirdo, get away from me.
Some people think you may be sincerely, I don't want to say insane. That's a clinical term.
I'm not insane.
I know you're not
I'm
insane.
very grounded.
I don't want to create the next
reality.
I don't want to be part of creating the next Joker here.
Well, I did see the movie, and it told me that it'd be okay if I became Joker. So
it's weird though. If you look at it, it's all for clicks. Everything's for clicks. And I don't want to get. I keep saying I don't want to get political, and it's really true. I'm just trying to say something about where we are completely. What Adam Schiff says is for clicks. What Pelosi says is for clicks. What Trump says is for clicks. It's all. I don't find any of them to really be like, no, I got to stay in this because I care about this country. Maybe I'm wrong. And probably Joker, if it picks up on this, just sort of complete moral lawlessness. That's what I would call it. If you don't
on all sides,
on all sides, and that is where we're going. If you don't police yourself morally, you, me, Greg, Jared, anybody listening, we are only as moral as the things that we do when we know no one is watching us and we know we won't get caught. That person and the actions that person takes is the closest thing to the real you.
And I can live with that.
Yeah.
You know why? Because if people saw that, they would say, oh, that's kind of creepy. But they wouldn't think I was a bad person, and they wouldn't be scared of me.
Right. No, you wouldn't be scared. But my point is, because of that, when it comes to morality, we have to police ourselves. And in culture right now, it's all about winning. Winning that next click, winning the 24-hour news cycle, winning everything and everything else be damned. Everything else be damned. All right, we haven't even done a story. All we've done
that was the story.
That was the story. Story was the Joker came out and Greg saw it, and I take it now. Say 0 to 10 stars. What do you give it?
8.
8. Very good.
So you're in between what the critics say and what the audience say. The critics say 69% tomato meter, and the audience score is 93%.
Yeah, because critics suck in this country and in this world now.
Because they're writing for themselves. It's not about the movie.
That's right. They're writing they all want to be on the right side of history. And this is what they don't understand. None of us knows what history is going to say. Do you think when they were putting up all the statues that people want to tear down now, they thought, these will be there for a few years? But no, we always think the things that we're doing are the right things in history. But I've got news for you. You and I have no idea what history will say about Greta Thunberg or Donald Trump or anyone. We are not in command of history. And these critics, I want to make sure, if this movie was not friendly to the trans community, I have to let people know, thumbs down, because otherwise history will judge me as being on the wrong side.
This is the thing, and I know you know this. It could be commentary on the way the trans community is treated. People see that. They say, I don't like that.
I don't like that. Right. Yeah. The thing is, you should judge a movie on whether or not it's a good movie. Did you want to fall asleep? Did you want to leave? Were you, was it interesting? Well, we're on our way to a good movie. It doesn't matter the thing. I mean, my goodness, you could take apart Stephen King movies like this, this is terrible for clowns. I have an uncle who's a clown. I don't like what it's doing for the clown profession.
I don't like the way they're treating St. Bernards.
Thumbs down. 6 months in a leaky boat. The great split ends. Hey, stick around. In mere minutes, I will call the next name. If you hear your name...
Oh, please, Greg Russ. Please, Greg Russ.
No, it can't be you.
I don't even have a car.
You don't have a car. You're in New York City. If you hear your name, you have 9 minutes, 55 seconds to call us back. You'll win $500 in free gas. That's in the next few minutes. All right, Gregory.
Are we going to do a story? Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
You want to be on the wrong side of history? Kill art. Then you're on the wrong side of history.
Then you're on the wrong... Exactly. Look, you know what? This is something I want to go into deeper at another time. It fascinates me. It fascinates me, Greg Russ, that we are, I believe, still... one of 2 countries that have a First Amendment. I think Japan does because we wrote their constitution after the war. I think
they just don't use it by their own choice. It's not the government.
If there's any other countries that have the First Amendment, it's because we have it and they were inspired to have it. So because we have the First Amendment, I find it interesting, and the only country that's lasted for 240 plus years where you can't be put in jail for the things that you say unless you actively call for violence against a specific person. And it is amazing. This is the first time in world history this has happened. And I find it really, really interesting that when you have for 240 years of free speech, that it turns out that if the government doesn't demand it at some point, the people themselves begin demanding censorship. And they do it by saying you will be ostracized in the culture, in the larger society, if you speak these things. It's not subtle. It's really kind of bullying.
Well, Eric,
yes.
Quickly, story. Huge South American lizards moving into South Georgia. We're out of time.
Who cares? hey, dog eat dog. Lizard eat lizard. You going to join us later on the podcast 30?
I have to finish this project, but next week I'm coming back.
Next week. Promises. Hour 2 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. And of course, love is the drug. You know what the date is? I say, Jared Yamamoto, the date, 10-4.
Good buddy.
Good buddy.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
Shouldn't this be International Truckers Day or something like that?
Over and out.
Technically, it's National Taco Day.
How is that? It's not a Tuesday.
That's why I'm confused. I don't understand.
Somebody call LeBron's lawyers. Something has gone wrong. All right, let's do this.
One man to beat. He cuts behind him. 20. He's going to go. 5. Touchdown.
Georgia Bulldogs and sports with Jay Black.
All right, Jay Black.
All right,
a lot of Braves fans are they're waking up in a mood this morning. A little. I want to get your take on it because you know more than I do about sports. I just watch these games and think I'm an expert. You actually know what you're talking about. Now, let me just throw a couple things at you here.
All right.
I felt that although St. Louis had not as good a record as us, had to come to our place, especially very early on in the game, first 4 innings or so, I felt that we opened up flat, tight, and looking at their dugout, I was watching on TV, they seemed loose, having a good time, and I have to remind everybody it was 100 degrees for both teams.
Yes, it was.
Did you know it was? Because a lot of times you watch things and you just put yourself into it. Maybe that wasn't happening at all. Maybe they showed it didn't look like the same team that I was watching 2-3 weeks ago.
No, I think that's a fair observation, but it was a little later. I mean, they
wound it back up.
They got going, and the Braves were going to steal that game.
Yes,
they were not the best team on the field through 7 innings, but they had the lead, and that's all that mattered. It's like, man, the Braves are going to steal this thing. And that's what you have to do in the playoffs. Is even when you're not playing great, you got to kind of steal one.
Well, championship teams win games that you otherwise wouldn't win. They do steal them from time to time.
And it was all setting up.
Did you feel? Let me ask you this. So I think that in the stuff that I was reading on, AJC and WSB TV and radio reports online, it seemed to me that there was a real blaming was the meltdown in the bullpen. I see, and I love Dallas Keuchel. I still, right now, this day, I'd love to, if he came in here, let's have a beer, I think he's great.
Yep.
But I think that he got $13 million from this organization really to do one thing, which was hold down games won in postseason series to the middle of the 7th. If he makes it to the middle of the 7th, does Fried go in? Do we start going?
Probably not.
Right.
I do think it's, in this day and age, managers across baseball have no leash in the playoffs. Keuchel was fine. He'd given up 1 run through 4 2/3. He was a typical Keuchel performance. They were getting a couple of bleeders off of him, hitting a hard hit ball, then he'd get his double play. He was fine. I was surprised he wasn't allowed to give up 2 runs.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't get a chance to work out of that jam.
Yeah.
But
it looked like, did you feel, I felt what Snicker felt. It didn't look like he had much left in the tank. He had let the game, he'd started the game and then got, you do the Keuchel thing, the double plays, grounders, all of that. And he seemed, he was just throwing some really just not good, the first strikeout came when Fried got out. That amazed me. I was watching the game and I didn't realize that it wasn't until Fried struck somebody out that it was the first strikeout of the game for the Braves.
But Brian Snicker said last night it was working out just like we wanted it to. The only expectation of the playoffs is your starter goes 5 at this point. I don't agree with that, but that's how baseball teams manage the playoffs now. So it had set up exactly how they wanted it to until Chris Martin hurt himself.
Yeah, and again,
in warm-ups.
See, I'm trying to. I'm stepping in here to say, sure, you wish for heroics out of the bullpen, but they're taking too much of the blame here. I mean, Luke is sitting down, probably, I don't know, checking his watch, checking his emails because he thinks Martin is up, and then that's bizarre. Martin hurts himself before he actually throws to anybody.
That Luke Jackson, if you want to let him off the hook a little bit, that's fine. Mark Melancon, on the other hand.
Yeah, that was a bad outing.
You're the closer.
Yeah.
You got to get 4 outs in the playoffs.
But again, the closer had to come in the 8th. And I'm just saying, I go back to, and again, I'm not beating up on him. I think Dallas Keuchel is a man, and I think he's looking in the mirror, and I think I'm saying what he's saying to himself. If he's in there, now you say Snicker was going to pull him in the 5th no matter what?
I think the expectation in the playoffs now is, he's going, if he's pitching a shutout, but they're when they lay things out, they don't lay out the starter going, the leash is just too for everybody. Yeah. And I don't agree with that. I would have let him at least give up 2 runs before I come get you.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's the way they line it. I do think that's a fair criticism, and I do think if you're going to bring in Max Fried, why not bring him in for 2?
That's what I thought. Yes,
I think you, Jay. Because you need him later. You need him again.
The clear message.
Is he going to start one of these?
That was the clear message to me. Was we're going to try to slip him in for 1 here, and if everything lines up fine, we're going to have him for Game 4 to start.
Okay, let me jump on what you're thinking here, though. But he came in and he pitched lights out. So why not? Why not stay with the guy who's pitching lights out? Which because game 2 or 3 or 4 doesn't matter if you're down, if you're upside down when you get there.
I've always seen Max Fried as a guy, a very good starter, but in the playoffs, I've always seen him as that dynamic lefty like Andrew Miller was like he was last night, and Josh Hader with the Brewers, a guy you can have dominate for 2 innings every game in the playoffs. I said, okay, that's how they're going to use him. He's going to go 2. Melanson's going to come into the 9th. So long, everybody. Yeah. But that's the message that was sent last night was we're going to save him for Game 4. Now, Game 4 is very much in doubt.
Before we go to tonight's game and what that's going to look like, one more of my little theories.
Yes. Watching
this, it seems to me that a handful of players are more banged up than they're letting on, and Snitker knows it, and I think he's trying to manage people's health at the same. Why did McCann come out so early? He'd already hit a single. I know he was slow out there, but he'd already gotten on base.
There was they were trying to avoid the lefty-lefty matchup, which turned out to be righty-righty with Francisco.
Right.
Which, of course, who'd have thought Francisco Cervelli back in May would have any role in the Braves postseason? But that was a little bit of a surprise. But the one guy who you thought they might have to manage his health, Ronald Acuna, clearly is healthy, except going to first base. Which
could you have a better, worse night than Ronald Acuna Jr.?
That's a good way to put it.
I like that. Yes.
I mean, he was money in a lot of ways, but just straight up, he has just got to get over himself. He looks like he could be a Hall of Fame career player, but he has got to get over himself. He's been warned about this stuff before. I don't know what happens if he gets to second. None of us does, but we know that he should have gotten there.
I was in the locker room, and I've been around enough ball to know when athletes are saying something with their eyes, but not totally saying everything with their words. Man, they were angry. They were angry.
You needed him to really be. This is what I said earlier about Ronald Acuna Jr. He is so talented that he could show up on 2 hours sleep, half awake, and still do pretty well. But here's the thing about guys like that. And Tom Brady, of course, is the top of Mount Everest of this. Do you get the most out of your talent? If Ronald Acuna Jr. could get his head out of you-know-where and get over himself and just focus in on maximizing the talent that he has, he's going to the Hall of Fame if he doesn't get hurt in his career. But he's, youthful arrogance. It's hard to coach.
It was youthful arrogance in August.
Yes.
Now it's a mistake.
Unprofessional.
And even Ozzie Albies is his best friend on that team. Even he said we can't have this. Yeah. You got to be on second base.
What are you admiring? You know what? When you've got rings and trophies on the mantle from the pros, you can admire yourself.
It's not like the wind blew it down. That one was clearly short. And I am surprised though that Braves Nation, judging from what I've seen on the social medias, will not really hold Acuna accountable.
Well, he
did hit a home run in the 9th inning. I mean, it wasn't like he almost brought us back into the game.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you have to be careful here. You know how good he is. You know what he brings, and that's what I say. He could show up half awake, and he's so talented. He's going to bring something. But when you get to the postseason, you have these great players in there because you want them peaking and maximizing their talents at that moment.
And he's what the Braves, even in the old days, they didn't have the best hitter on the field. In most playoff series, he's the best player on this field.
Yeah,
and he showed it last night, with the exception of one repeated brain burp.
Yeah, I got so many questions. We have to go into tonight's game too. I don't understand. Okay, so Fulton Evans is up tonight, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And Tehran just isn't going to be a part of this series.
Well, he might be now with Chris Martin getting injured.
There? You know what? Let me just say this. I think that, look, Brian Snitker has been with the Braves organization since 1977.
Yes.
All right? He knows more than Eric von Haessler, and I completely recognize that. But I don't know about this. I think that with such a young team, okay, Dallas Keuchel probably isn't going to be there next year, but with such a young team, I think that I would have gone with Tehran, who's a veteran, a long-timer, but I would have gone with Tehran, Soroka, Fried, these people who are going to be the future, and just say, look, let's go for it, and maybe this is the moment in their career where they stand up and it happens, but if not, we get them some real-world experience, because I see this team as a 2, 3, 4 season thing that is building right now. And why not just go ahead? Tehran has had some great games. He's had some awful games, but he's had some great games this year. Why was he out of the picture?
Riding the hot hand, because Fultonevich has been, since he's come back up from the minor leagues, especially in the last month, he's been what you expect from Mike. He was your game one starter in the playoffs last year. He was going to be the opening day starter until he got hurt in spring training. His ceiling is higher than Julio's, and Julio he wet the bed in the last month trying to audition for the playoff roster. Snitker said, "This is the hardest decision I've made in my career." Now, he might get put back on the roster with Martin being out, but that part seemed kind of clear. And Fultonevich can go pitch for pitch with Jack Flaherty, who's been the best pitcher in the National League in the second half of the season.
People have to realize we're facing an ace tonight.
His ERA has been below 1 since July.
Yeah,
Fultonevich he can go pitch for pitch with Flaherty. He can also give up 6 in the first.
That's what I'm saying.
He's just such a wild card.
And that's all about pressure. That's all about dealing with pressure. That's between the ears. That's not talent. That's dealing with the moment.
I didn't mind that move, though. You could kind of see it coming that Julio he walks too many guys. He just hasn't. Yeah, but he just hasn't been there lately.
And I'm ignorant, and I don't know as much about. I'm a real fan with baseball. I'm like football or basketball. I know more. But why isn't he in the bullpen? Why is he just out of this series altogether?
He's not a reliever, and you have too many decent relieving options that you don't need a fifth starter in this situation.
That's how dumb I am. I always assumed the starter would make a better reliever than a reliever. Yes, sir.
Guys, along with the Braves game tonight, don't forget that we've got a big game in Knoxville tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
tomorrow.
UGA. We'll come back. We're not done with Jay. We'll talk UGA. Jay Black, WSB Sports Director. Can you stick around for a little bit longer?
I can.
I feel like this is a very short break, and I feel like we haven't.
We have a lot to discuss.
Given enough time to UGA and the Tennessee game. I want to let everybody know that we're shaking things up on the programming schedule today. WSB's. Why? Was this written by Pete Spriggs?
Of course.
Yeah.
To be fair, he had a thing yesterday. So
No, I know. No, he's a terrible writer. Always. Like I need to say, this is how he wrote it. WSB's Mark Arum. I think most people know that Mark Arum, if they're listening to this station, is affiliated with this. We're not renting him from another station for today.
He's on a 10-day contract.
Yeah, WSB's Mark Arum is going to host a special show 3 to 5 today with extra coverage of traffic to help you get to SunTrust Park. Eric Erickson will be on from 5 to 7. And then our own Doug Turnbull will do some live talk between 7 and 9 with added post-game traffic.
But I really think what the kid you did out there tonight. They just got to find out nothing with you, and hopefully the Braves come back and win the third game. Smiling.
There's a little preview. So as we turn to UGA for a little bit here, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about it in Tennessee. Jared Yamamoto's girlfriend is a volunteer.
Yes, she is.
She is. That's why.
Well, she runs that house, man.
Absolutely. Well, she runs that house. But it turns out that being Jared's girlfriend it counts as charity work. She's able to write it off.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So she is a volunteer. And Tennessee's terrible. So this should be a walk in the park, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
You really, I mean, yes, you're going into Knoxville, you're going into Neyland Stadium, but they're not good.
If you want to see this town, I don't know, I would say implode, not explode, because it would be so depressing. If somehow
don't it's
not going to happen. Look, my job here is to go through the possibilities. And what I'm saying is,
I got a better
that
chance.
That was you clapping back.
There's a better chance of me going on a date with Amy Adams than there is of what you're about to say. But go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
We need to isolate that right there. Anything can happen in SEC football.
Oh, no, you stop. You got your girlfriend.
I'm pulling for the Dogs, but I am conflicted.
Can you imagine the implosion if the Bulldogs lost to Tennessee in the same season that Georgia State Panthers beat them? This cannot happen, and it won't happen. I think they're going to win by like 25, right?
Yes.
24-25.
Yeah, 20, yep. Big win.
And we'll get to when all of our stuff is going to start on that. Just stick around here. I'm not done with this Jay Black. I'm enamored with him. Cardinals catcher, Molina. He is going to have the scariest bust in the Hall of Fame. I swear. So watching that guy last night, I'm thinking, I bet you this guy only smiles when puppies die. You need that on your team, though. Yeah,
he's cold-blooded, man.
Yeah, for us, we've got Donaldson. I think that's our most cold-blooded player. But
until we talk about relationships, which is another story.
Yeah, I know. I didn't get to your audio yesterday. We'll play that a little bit later. He compared to what? Like it was like a marriage.
Well, I asked him what's the difference between with all these young guys on the Braves. What's the real difference between playing in the playoffs the first time compared to the second time? And then he said it's basically like the difference between puppy love and a marriage.
All right, we'll go ahead and play this. Now, this was before Game 1.
Yes.
What's the difference between the first time you go through the playoffs and the second time? I think the first time you're kind of oblivious to everything, and you're just kind of like, it's kind of like when you meet a girl for the first time, and you kind of feel those butterflies. You don't really know what to expect, but you love it, and you're all in it. There's nothing that can go wrong, But then when you've been around for a while, you know that, hey, you want to keep those feelings, you want to keep that excitement, but you're also going to have to expect them to kind of fight back, and then we're going to have to be able to fight back as well. And some people call that a marriage.
All right, we got Paul Stanley from Kiss is here. You got to do Paul Stanley Presents. We're sitting on his time, but now you got a couple of different things to tell us. One is our coverage. Our coverage is going to continue on throughout the playoffs. You are going to be there this afternoon, and you'll be posting your reports.
I'm heading to Knoxville.
You're now heading to Knoxville.
I've dispatched Edgar Tragans, our assistant sports director of baseball, to SunTrust Park.
How confused I am.
So I'm heading up to Knoxville while Edgar covers the game.
Does that mean you get to stop at Mr. Biscuit along the way?
No, since we're running into Paul Stanley Presents time, we're going to have to skip Mr. Biscuit.
I'll take some biscuits.
Okay.
I don't want to get some Mr. Biscuit on the way back, I hope.
What time does the coverage start tomorrow,
So
Jay?
we'll start at 3 o'clock with our tailgate show, and then we'll kick off at 7 from Neyland Stadium in Knoxville. And then after that, I'll head on up to Missouri for Game 3 of the National League Division Series on Sunday between the Braves and the Cardinals.
That's why I got confused, because you're going to go, and then you're going down. And he told me, this is what he's complained to me. Somebody's angry about something when they don't remember they just told you something 10 minutes earlier? Twice within 12 minutes.
I wouldn't say angry, but it's an obstacle.
Yeah, Jay Black has said the Cardinals don't have press parking.
Yes.
What is that about?
And I know, the press, I'm not complaining, but I kind of, if I'm driving 7 hours on 5 hours
It'd
sleep,
be nice
I
to
thought,
have
all right, I have a place I know where I'm going. Now I got to figure out St. Louis and find a place to park. So if anybody knows a good place to park in St. Louis, please leave it on the open mic app.
Ferguson,
on
then take over.
Oh, Ferguson.
By the arch.
Hey,
Exactly.
Are you going to go up in the arch? I was there.
I don't know. It's really high.
I tell you something I don't really want to say because people are in town. Whatever.
Right. Okay.
I've been to St. Louis a few times.
Okay.
Not the nicest people in the world.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
Fighting
like
words.
no, they're very arrogant about being from St. Louis.
Really?
And if you're just visiting there, you just think to yourself, okay, you've got an arch.
Why? Who can be angry or arrogant that can't keep an NFL football team?
Exactly.
Ooh.
Hey, try that line out when you get to the stadium.
Let me write that one down.
After you've walked 10 miles. I think they have parking for the press in St. Louis.
Yeah, yes.
I think it's you. And also, Jay Black, you might want to work for a company that'll buy you a plane ticket every once in a while.
I like driving.
Jay,
yes. we got the WSB mobile going across the country again.
yeah. You got your AAA card?
Yes.
All right, you'll be fine.
I hope.
Jay Black, good luck, good travels. Thank you. Let's do this.
Hi, it's Paul Stanley, and this is Paul Stanley Presents, the latest in music and entertainment news, only on the Von Haessler Doctrine.
So people don't understand why this happens. Kiss has promised us that this is actually their last final farewell tour. I think it's the third one they've done. But this is going to be it. And Paul Stanley is looking for other options. Still a relatively young man, and would like to be an entertainment reporter when they put the pyrotechnics, when they pack that all up for the last time.
60-something years young.
Absolutely. And you want to? And I thought, let me get your toe in the water. See how you do with the entertainment
chilly.
reporting. Yeah, it is chilly. Of course.
I got goose pimples on my legs.
I was wondering what those were.
It's not Braille, ladies.
So hands off.
Well, no, hands on.
Yeah, it's always hands on.
Always hands on. I never say no.
All right, Paul Stanley from the rock band Kiss.
Have you heard this story?
Have I heard this story? No, I have. I don't know. What is it?
Kiss is making a big splash by performing a concert for sharks.
Now, did this already happen now? I believe is it happening?
The date on the story from Weird News on Huffington Post is from today.
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
They're going to try November 18th.
Nope.
It's going to happen November 18th.
So it hasn't happened yet.
No, it has not. Well, you should know this because you're the one. You're going to be one of the people.
I'm doing the news story.
But you are also playing in front of sharks.
According to this story, it says, having played nearly every corner of the earth in a nearly 50-year career, the rock band Kiss is taking its show to a new place, under the sea, where they will perform for great white sharks and 8 fans separated from them by a small submarine.
Now, the band will not be the band will be at surface level in a boat.
Yeah, we're not going in the water.
The audience will
I can't swim.
can't swim.
I can't swim. And then listen, being
Yeah,
around sharks, you're dead meat.
You're a city kid, right? I mean,
I'm a city guy. Gene was born in Israel, so I think he was a water birth.
Yeah, so
he
he's
can swim.
he's swimmer. He's yes, Jared.
Oh, I like how it says here too. It says the band will be in full makeup and costumes for the performance,
Yeah, I was
which will
getting to that.
which will be at least 4 songs. And so there are
Yeah.
concerts that are only 4 songs.
Okay, first of all, sharks do not have a long attention span.
Oh, okay. That makes
They
sense.
will when we're rocking them.
Yeah. Are you going to do the hits? I hope the sharks want to hear the hits.
We're going to play stuff off of our new album that we've been working on. So the sharks will go to the bathroom and get a beer.
This is some kind of. First of all, the money's going to go to a charity in Florida.
I guess.
But so you say.
Some
But there's
of it.
some group out there that says what they want to do is they want to turn things around because with aquariums and zoos, animals have been performing for people for so long.
That's right.
They want to turn it around so that people now can perform for animals.
And all the animals are saying, we want to see Kiss. Because the animals are going to join the Kiss army.
You can't. I got news for you. I don't know if you and Gene have thought this through.
Mm-hmm.
Animals have no money. They can't buy merch. They can't buy.
They can barter. You know, sharks.
barter with a shark?
Sharks can barter. Sharks will kill it like a seal.
Yeah.
And then say we need new boots for Kiss. Because like
Okay.
Gene's boots are wore out. You know?
And so they barter. They give you a dead seal.
We have the seal skin and they can eat all the, seal stuff.
It sounds like a good plan.
So it's, they don't have cash in the sea, but they, like I said, they barter.
Okay, very good. So
And so-
you still can sell your Kiss lighters and caskets.
According to the story,
shouldn't you just
Paul Stanley said, I was a little taken aback by it, but they explained that sharks are attracted to low frequencies, so they're attracted to rock and roll.
I like your adherence to objective journalism.
He went
there.
on to add, quote, since we're going to be in Australia, it gives a whole new meaning to doing a concert down under, end quote.
He's a funny guy, that Paul Stanley, don't you think?
Gene's done lots of things down under.
I really don't want to hear about it. This is a family show.
I don't mean anything dirty.
Okay,
I mean,
well-
he's been to Australia a lot. He goes on outback trips.
Well, you guys have all
He
been.
went on to
I can see
Kangaroo
that.
Reserve.
Yeah, I could see Gene Simmons.
Gene
out.
hops with him.
I could see Gene Simmons
One time-
out on a trail, on a walking trail. I
Oh,
don't-
God, there's more ruse here. No, he loves the ruse. And one time Ace Frehley went and boxed a kangaroo. It was really funny.
Who won?
Or the kangaroo. They're strong. You seen those muscles on those
Oh, yeah.
guys?
Absolutely. big
You
time.
think, their arms are weak.
Why do you get them in the Kiss Army?
Kangaroos are
They
weird.
can't sing.
I'm glad.
They fight. That's all they
fight.
do is fight, eat, and carry their young in a pouch.
I'm glad we don't have them over here.
Me too.
They're freaky.
They're like men.
Yeah, they're like people,
Yeah.
but they're not people. So you expect them to be reasonable, and they turn around and act like animals.
You
It's
can't even
bizarre.
like it's not even a fair fight because they don't follow the rules of boxing.
No, they kick.
Well, yeah,
Well, that's number one.
they kick you real hard. They got big feet. They're like rabbits that fight. I mean, if
They're
you went
like-
out,
they are like rabbits who are upright and walking around.
like God was drunk one night and said, "Hey, I'm going to take a deer and a rabbit, gonna put them together and see what happens." Oh yeah, and put a pouch on him.
And how come they've never migrated outside of that? Like they're.
Well, I mean, it's a giant island.
Are
It's,
they
you
in
know,
New
they
Zealand
can't really
as
hop
well?
across the ocean.
Have they made it over?
No.
They can't hop.
No,
enough?
they can't hop
no, but
that
other
far.
animals.
They might
you
have
know.
wallabies.
You think that like a circus act, like from the 1910s,
Like
and
a train would explode and a couple of them would get out.
yeah, and then they will have populated. I hear lizards are going to take over the South Georgia.
I always thought that's scary.
It
I
is.
always thought that, maybe the kangaroos could start building boats and then they could
Yeah.
go to other countries.
Well, we expect this because they look like people.
Yeah, except
You
for the
think-
giant legs and pouches and tails.
That would freak me out. I would freak me out if I
To
was
see a
driving.
kangaroo?
Just like driving somewhere and look, there's a kangaroo in the middle of the road.
Georgia has a kangaroo. What do they call it when
Oh,
they?
sanctuary?
Yeah, that.
Oh, we have a kangaroo.
I've been to it.
Yeah.
Where do they? What do they?
They
fly
go to
them?
the church, pound on the door, and scream sanctuary.
And then they have to take it by law.
Right.
The feds can't. Trump wants to get rid of them, but
the
he
lady,
can't.
the lady on the phone says she's been there.
Have you? That's Autumn Fisher.
Hi, Autumn Fisher.
Have you? Have
she hot?
Stanley.
have you
Sexy
been-
lady?
Very sexy.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
In a mom way. Have
Oh,
you?
never mind.
Have you seen
MILF. Come on.
Have you been to the kangaroo sanctuary?
I
Autumn?
have. Yes.
Yeah? Is it fun?
Do you get to fight them?
Hold on, what?
The Kangaroo Conservation Center that was up in Dawsonville is permanently closed.
Oh, they escaped.
They escaped?
They took over.
Yeah.
It's like Jurassic Park in there.
It
That's
was.
what's going on. It's like
That's the story they're not telling.
Yeah, the kangaroo island of Dr. Maru.
So Kiss will be playing for Sharks, and I can't wait for that.
Now, do we know for a fact that sharks like Kiss? Because from human beings,
Well, yeah, I just
like
said
me and
so.
Jared Yamamoto, we have very different. We both love music. We have very different tastes. How do we know that sharks like Kiss?
Well, what Gene says is, I'm not sure how much of us the Sharks can take. I'm hoping they know rock and roll all night.
Can't you do that in Gene's voice?
No, I don't do impressions.
You don't do impressions, Paul Stanley?
No, I do.
Did he tell you that, or were you reading that from the story?
No, this is from the story in Huffington Post. He had Gene had a kidney stone. You know you're getting old when you got kidney stone.
Oh, no, you get those young, too. You know why? Because people don't hydrate themselves.
That's right.
I'm not a doctor, but you got to hydrate yourself.
Just drinking blood all the time.
I hear
that can't
it's
be
awful.
good for you.
No,
blood,
you're
it's
drinking
not
blood.
good.
No, that's what it is. Too much iron in his diet. That's what it is. Yeah.
This guy has his hand up.
This is a bizarre setup, Paul Stanley. So you guys, the fans are on one boat, and then Kiss is on another boat. You guys are off the coast of southern Australia. Kiss stays on board one of the vessels, while the other fans are lowered beneath the surface of the water and in a viewing submarine area where they can see the sharks and hear you guys at the same time. This is bizarre to me.
Welcome to the beginning of the segment.
We already said all that stuff.
I know. I'm just blown away. I'm still just having trouble picturing this.
That's Jared.
So they're going to be playing on a different boat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you get it? Do you understand it?
And
What's
then
happening?
what?
Yeah.
And then the people go underwater?
Jared
From
is
a viewing sub, yeah.
Jared is my Ronald Acuna Jr. Very talented. Scores a lot of points, but then just boneheaded moves where you just don't expect them. But that's okay.
Get a homer in the ninth for you.
You gonna do that?
I got you.
You struck out in the ninth yesterday, and Mr. Snicker over here was very angry. But I got over it. You see how nice I'm being?
Huh?
Irreverent. Entertaining.
Gut-busting. Very funny. And doesn't toe any party line.
I think it's a great show.
The Von Haessler Doctrine on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
My battery of producers tell me that we're playing Strutter.
That's right.
Because somehow it's going to seg into your next entertainment story, Paul Stanley.
That's right. Everybody's gathering on Fulton Industrial this weekend. No, wait a minute. There's a big festival going on in Atlanta if you're looking for something to do. Hey, you got a dog?
No, I don't. I'm a cat person.
Would you like a dog?
I know you're not.
Would you like to see dogs?
You guys kicked out Peter Criss. I guess you're not cat people. But
No.
I'm a cat person.
We replaced them with a fox, which is sort of like a dog and a cat.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Best
it's
of
like
both worlds.
They got together. There's a charity dog walk to raise money and save lives of homeless pets from 9 to noon. That's tomorrow in Grant Park, Cherokee Avenue at Sydney Street. Go to strutyourmutt.org.
Strut your mutt.
Strut your mutt. Strut up. If that isn't your theme, or if it is, you could do that and then head over to Chambly.
Chambly. It's a Chambly.
It's Chambly? It's not Chambly?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Paul Stanley, I got to teach you. You got to know your you got to know your local towns and roads. It's very important if you're going to go into radio after your tour is over.
So when you're on top side of 285 and you get off that exit, it's not Ashford and Simpson. It's Ashford.
No, right. And pronounce this DEKALB.
DeKalb.
No. See, I got to bring you up to speed.
Dacula.
You're close. You're real close.
Dacula.
Dacula.
No.
Dacula.
And
Vinings.
DeKalb. Vinings.
Oh,
That's all
Vinings.
right. He's new on him. You know, he's
Yeah.
not a pro.
learning the area.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
from
not-
New York where we name things normally. So anyway, taste the Chambly. If you're hungry, you can eat Chambly.
Who isn't hungry? All right, Paul Stanley.
All right.
Thank
see
you
you guys.
for presenting.
Wish me luck, and I don't hope I don't get eaten by a shark.
Yeah. Good luck, my friend. Godspeed, Paul Stanley.
Thanks.
Bum, 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 bum. Hour 3 of the Von Haessler Doctrine begins right now. Just taking my laps, getting my steps. This is a very freaky moment. I go up around and I end up, now my new path, because I got a longer path than before. And now I come up over by the Clark, what's that action center called?
CAC.
Is it the
Consumer
Clark?
Action Center?
Consumer Action Center. So I come up, this action center is right across from the security area. And I come through there, and I open the door, and there's a huge dog on the floor. Huge! I mean, a huge dog. And it was just kind of startling. I don't know whose dog it is.
Was it a gift?
A gift?
Well, that's usually where people drop things off. They dropped off gifts for people up in TV or up in radio.
Who drops off a huge grown dog?
Have you seen the stuff that's dropped off?
No, hold on a second. I want you to admit. I want you to say your name.
Jared Yamamoto.
And then I want you to repeat after me. I just said something very stupid.
I think that there's been...
No, there's no way you think that somebody would actually gift a huge dog and just leave it there.
I want to email Alex. I guarantee they've seen weird stuff like that.
Y'all, I dropped off a dog for Jared.
We do have security here. You can't just open the doors and drop a gift. They're not going to I'm going to leave a live animal here as a gift. No.
Well, okay.
Here's a bag of snakes.
I was startled at first, but the dog was laying down and very well groomed and obviously not a dangerous dog. But you never know. You think a dog's not dangerous, but there's that call of the wild. You know what happens? They smell some sort of mixture of urine and lemonade in the air.
Ambrosia.
Before you know it, they're chewing your throat out. So, I just think it's weird.
What kind of dogs are you running into?
He's not a dog person, Tim.
No, I am a dog. One of the first, the Jack London that I read first was Call of the Wild.
It doesn't matter. You don't understand dogs. You think they're going to rip out your throat.
Excuse me. Have you ever read Call of the Wild?
Isn't it a wolf?
No, I don't know how to read, okay?
Okay, well, you should have told me before you applied for the job.
Well, too late.
Call of the Wild. I read it when I was 9 years old or something.
Jack London, right?
Jack London. Oh, look at somebody else that went to school and was assigned
Google.
something. I didn't read it because it was assigned. It was in my house.
379 pages, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
How can I sound warmed up? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Call of the Wild starts out, I believe it's in California, and it's this domesticated dog that is, his life is just it's a rich family, the kids, it just got the life of the best kind of life a dog can have. No, I think Riley is better because he's human. So the best kind of dog that life that a dog can have, and then he's captured and sent to be a husky up in Siberia or something. I don't know, some cold area where he becomes like a mush dog or whatever, and has to go through this whole transition. A whole transition of being a lovable domesticated animal to being like a vicious animal. It's a great thing. But yeah, in that story called The Wild, that's how they kill. They jump up and they just bite the throats out of people.
Jugular.
And each other. It's like they go right for the jugular. And that's
how did he survive?
The whole story. He survived. The whole story. Oh, for heaven's sakes. She's mocking one of the greatest
intently.
books. One of the greatest books. Why don't you admit? Okay, now I want you to admit something. Say your name.
My name is Autumn Fisher. Hello.
And I never heard of Call of the Wild.
I have heard of Call of the Wild.
But I did not know it was a book.
I knew it was a book. I've never read it because, as I said before, I don't know how to read.
You got those two stupid kids. Read them Call of the Wild.
We just read Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Well,
I
that's
never
fantastic.
Read that.
Well, let me tell you something. Call of the Wild
I know how to read a little bit.
An unbelievable book because it's from the point of view of the dog. And it's believable, like the way that a human character in a book would be sad or laugh or like something or not like something. Jack London, this guy gets inside of a dog's head, if you can, and it's believable. You're not like, oh, this is a cartoon, it's ridiculous. You really get that feeling of what it would be like a dog to go through that. Why am I talking about?
I smelled the poop.
Well, he doesn't have a word for poop, so you have to do more than that.
Then I smelled the thing.
It's like that movie, The Bear.
The other dog's treat that comes out the back.
Yes.
It smells different today.
Woof.
Woo.
Oh, you guys, mocking great literature.
Oh, I think I'm more
mocking great
literature.
literature.
Has there been a movie made out of it?
Why am I talking about
How is
Call
it
the
great
Wild?
literature?
Tim and I were talking before we started the segment. We're more White Fang guys when it comes to Jack London books. And,
White Fang was nothing more than a retelling of the Call of the Wild story.
White Fang, remember when the mom died and then he was sad?
How about where the red fern grows? Where the red fern grows.
Oh, God,
where the two hounds get eaten by they get eaten by the mountain lion.
I know.
All right, look, if you guys bring up Bambi, I'm leaving.
Bambi was a
When
hack.
Dumbo's mom was so sad that she was in the cage and then she put
All right, now that's enough. Call of the Wild is actual literature.
Hello, it's the Wild.
Sorry, wrong number.
Klondike 5 Wild.
Why? What the hell are we talking about?
I've got some open mics for you.
All right. Why don't we get on the call of the wild? I don't even know anymore.
I snorted.
You something to do. All right. Hurry up, because I want to do a review.
This segment has gone wild, right, guys?
Yeah.
So you know how this big vaping thing is getting
big.
It's becoming way out of proportion.
Slow down. What's the matter? Are you having a stroke?
No, I think it's
It's vaping.
Do you know
how big it is? It's just
vaping
big.
thing is getting so big. Hold on. Stop 1 second. Stop. Breathe. This whole vaping thing, you're supposed to be giving me the news. What do you mean the whole vaping thing? You're talking about the fact that I assume that you are talking about the fact that many states and localities and the federal government are banning vaping because of what they call an epidemic. So between 8 and 12 people have died.
18.
Yeah, the big vaping thing.
The big vaping thing.
18, that's why I didn't want to spoil this
You
gentleman's
are a
open mic.
communicator.
Yes.
You understand that?
That's right. And I didn't want to spoil this gentleman's open mic because he's...
See what happened right there? Again, I have to stop him. He won't just go, yeah, that was a stupid way to put it. It was it was on purpose because I
You
didn't
did a
want to
much
spoil.
better job of putting it than I did. But this open micer is fired up about it.
I would just like it to be known to any legislator and or Brian Kemp, if you ban vaping, I will not vote for you. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. If you ban vaping, I will not vote for you. This is the most ridiculous thing I've heard. Hundreds of thousands of people die from cigarettes every day, and you want to ban vaping.
I'm going to dispute his math later, but go ahead, Brian Kemp, if you have a response.
Well, looks like everybody's coming at me about this.
Yeah, the vaping, pro and con, I would imagine.
Yeah, there's pros, there's cons, I just got to see how much money you're going to be donating.
I know your friend Sean Hannity, he's a Jewel guy.
Oh, Sean's been bugging me all week. He's texting me, and he's saying, hey, listen to my show from 3 to 4. I said, Sean, I thought you were on 3 hours. He goes, well, I am normally, but not in Atlanta.
All right, well, that's getting a little off the trail there, but
hey, he complains a lot, Scott.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
I'm Eric. I'm Eric.
Eric Erickson's on after him.
Yes, he is. And
Not tonight, though. The whole lineup's screwy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay attention. Thank you, Scott.
It's Eric.
Yeah.
I guess Brian Kemp is still figuring this one out.
I'm on the fence about vaping.
I don't know.
Me too.
Ooh, this is Brian Kemp fan. She gets so excited.
My favorite flavor, gun oil.
Gun oil.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
It's such a masculine flavor.
It's salted black licorice and blueberry.
Oh, my.
Gun oil.
Oh, that sounds sweet.
Got one more open mic for you. This actually went very well yesterday.
Hey, Eric Von Haessler.
Yes.
Snacky is snack-a-lackin', man. I love him.
Snacky, we haven't brought back. Snacky is our new character because with this impeachment inquiry. So, you know those kicker stories. Like you watch the news and for 25 minutes it's all murder and mayhem and fires and helicopters and just everything bad. And then the last story, we call it the kicker story, right? That's to be a story about, I don't know, like there's a squirrel on water skis or something. It's a spoonful of sugar that helps the medicine go down, and we call that snackable content. So with all this impeachment talk and everything, we have our new character here, Snacky, comes in and sort of hey, Snacky. Do you hear that?
Eric.
Yeah, people love you.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm snack-a-lackin'.
Snacky's here to break the tension.
Oh, you want some good news?
You have more snackable content for us?
Oh, you guys, did you hear about the Italian astronaut who likes to watch the World Cup from space?
No.
Well, he's an astronaut.
Yeah.
He's Italian, and he likes to watch the World Cup from space.
Oh, that's wonderful,
Ain't that
Snacky.
good news?
That's fantastic.
Oh, I love it.
Well, you're the best at kicker stories.
Oh, you know what? I have another story about a bat that likes to play golf.
A what?
A bat that plays golf.
You mean
That sounds so cute.
Yeah, that's you know what? I've almost completely forgotten about how polarized we are as a nation on everything from the presidency to the Kardashians. When you bring us this these kicker stories, the snackable content is so happy and innocuous.
I don't know what innocuous means, but I know what happy means, and a golfing bat makes me happy.
Oh.
You gotta wonder who his caddy is.
Snacky, are you that voice from TMZ?
That's my cousin. Crappy.
He's negative. Who is that?
His name is Crappy. My name is Snacky. Snacky's happy. Crappy is slappy.
Well, you're certainly doing your job here. Our audience really loves the fact that you show up with these innocuous, inane stories that make us all forget about how polarized we are as a nation.
We have a duck who juggles.
Oh!
Aww.
So what's that story? So a duck.
Snacky, you're jittering, man. Are you okay?
Don't touch my bag. There's nothing in it.
What's in Snacky's bag? A lot of powder.
Don't you look at my bag.
This is artificial happiness. I think Snacky needs a bump.
It's baby powder.
Well, however you get there, Snacky, we appreciate
I
your...
have a problem down there. I have to keep it dry.
Is this the...
That's why I carry baby powder.
You're okay, then. You got to keep yourself dry.
The duck juggles with his beak.
Oh, that's your...
Aww.
Isn't that great?
That sounds so cute.
So you had a story about a duck that juggles with his beak, and I don't know about you, Autumn, but I suddenly forgot about just how polarized we are as a nation.
Forget about all the murders you just heard about. We have a duck who juggles with his beak.
I want to see that squirrel on water skis, though.
That's so 80s.
Oh, it's the one I stick around.
Oh, God, is he dead?
No, that's not for Snacky.
God.
No, don't go away in a
No,
bad
he's
mood.
not dead. He's dead, but we stuffed him, and we still drag him around on skis.
Oh, that's so cute.
All right, give me a quick story.
A Miley Cyrus-backed cannabis cafe is bringing a little taste of Amsterdam to Hollywood, guys.
And there was like a queue around the block when they opened it up, and there's famous people. Miley Cyrus this is your you own this cannabis cafe.
Yeah, I'm opening up a new cafe. You know, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, a lot of people want to get in, and it's been really exciting to be a part of it. You know.
So you think that people want to get high out in public? They don't...
Yeah, you know, I've been at Amsterdam a lot of times. You know, I did a couple shows there. I went there for like 6 or 12 months. I don't even remember. I was there for a long time, I think. And there's a lot of places there. You know, you can just go around and get stoned in cafes, or like coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you also get really, really stoned, and it's awesome. And you're like, everyone's cool there. It's like everybody's cool. And so, like, I just feel like this is a really great way to make California like even cooler. You know?
Yeah, okay, Miley Cyrus. Very good.
One of the pitches here is it says that customers will legally be able to order pot as if it were a bottle of wine.
There you
That's
go.
right.
Yeah.
It's pot tenders, you know, instead of a bartender. It's a joke.
Yeah, Miley, I get that was a joke.
Pot tenders.
Okay. So you're a marijuana entrepreneur now.
Oh yeah. I've always been. I've really been really into marijuana for a long time. You know, it's cleared my glaucoma and my.
Glaucoma.
I'm just kidding. I didn't really. But that's how I got the license. You know what I mean? You just tell your doctor you got something, and they're like, "Yeah, weed will cure it." And then you come to my place and you get a pot tender.
All right, Miley Cyrus. Thanks. Sound like you're having a blast now.
Did you see this video? Really, Sam?
No, I missed
Yeah,
that.
it's really hot. Naked.
Thank you, Miley. You know, I look at the all the headlines and stuff online. I'm thinking about starting a new segment. We call it ... rather than fill in the blank. Because I can just give you, I can give you part of the headline, and then just ellipsis like ... just sort of. So here's one in front of me actually right now. Thousands of priests accused of ... You fill in the blank. We did not have a winner for the 95.5 WSB free gas giveaway. That means you will have a chance to win $600 in free gas at 4 o'clock today. You listen to the other white Eric Erickson, and if you hear your name, call back within 9 minutes and 55 seconds. You walk away with the $600 in free gas. Can't call your name unless we have your name. So make sure you go to WSBradio.com or use that nifty WSB Radio app and register. Then listen at 4 to Eric Erickson. We're going to have some programming changes this afternoon because of the game. So from 3 to 5, Mark Aram, live in studio. Thank goodness. They really tortured him yesterday. Poor guy was melting out there at SunTrust Park. So he's going to be live in studio, 3 to 5. and you're going to get a whole lot more traffic, pregame traffic, all of that good stuff. And then we'll have Eric Erickson live 5 to 7, and then Doug Turnbull post after the game, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Driving home
with all your traffic and I would imagine game analysis. Doug Turnbull.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. It was a pretty good game. We thought the Mike folk were used to the Braves blowing it after all this in Atlanta. This ain't soccer. Smiling.
All right, let's do this.
It's the stories we just couldn't miss. It's the Doctrine Extra.
We're going to mix it up a little bit. The Doctrine Extra today, it's Friday. We have a lot of good audio here that I don't want to leave on the table before we go away for the weekend.
What?
Sorry, Mr. President?
What? What?
Excuse me?
What? What? What?
You know, Mr. President, maybe if you would answer the reporters' questions a little further away from the helicopter.
What? What?
Like every press conference, the guy deals with the press. You're hearing that whine, that frequency. That high.
Ask me the question.
Yeah.
Ask me another question. I don't like that question. I gotta get on the helicopter. Ask me another question.
What?
What? Ask me a good question.
I mean, a nice thing. That's a good way to do it, because if you ever get a question, no matter who you are, anytime you have to answer questions that are tough questions, it'd be nice to have a copter behind you. One question you don't like, you just get in and fly away. So, okay, now, this is Kamala Harris. This is cut 2. And she is, I guess she's asking her own audience. These are Harris voters, right?
Yeah.
She's at a rally. And she asked him if America is ready for her presidency, and the crowd shouts no.
There's this whole conversation that's been coming up about electability. Focused on our candidate. Is America ready for that? No.
Okay. What'd you say at the end?
Of course they are.
Of course they are.
You were supposed to say yes. And that's fine. I mean, I know what you're talking about. Mr. President, please stop. Can we get him off of Twitter, please? Jack Dorsey, it's time. It is time. Can we? And is everybody excited for my presidency, my ascendancy?
No, apparently, says your own crowd.
You're supposed to say yes.
There's this whole conversation that's been coming up about electability. Focused on our candidate. Is America ready for that?
Yeah.
Well, yes, they are.
What? Yeah. Yes, they are. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, at least you corrected your own.
They needed it. They need a strong woman up there to correct them.
There's a lot of weird audio. Okay, so Elizabeth Warren, somebody. So this is somebody is in the crowd with Elizabeth Warren, and I guess they're protesting Elizabeth Warren, and the crowd starts chanting "Lock him up," and then I guess Warren's not going to have any of that.
That Donald Trump and his supporters are getting really nervous, and they have a good reason to be.
Yeah, you okay? You seem a little out of breath.
Guys, crowd's getting out of control.
You've got a lot of work to do.
There's a lot of work to be done, and we can't do it if we're all chanting.
You're all out of breath before you start the work, though.
You guys, calm down. No.
All right, now
They're freaking out, everybody.
This is Corey Lewandowski. You remember Corey Lewandowski? He was with the Trump campaign for a while. Might run for Senate in New Hampshire.
Beat up a female reporter, right?
No, he touched her.
Oh,
moved her away. But so he was on with I believe he was on Kennedy because or maybe Lisa Montgomery was on as well on Fox Business. But apparently it's Kennedy who says, Kennedy is, Jared. It's sad if you don't.
Wasn't she on MTV
She
for a
was
while?
quite famous on MTV. The last bunch of real VJs.
Right.
Kennedy was part of that now, and she's a libertarian-ish kind of person, so they keep throwing her kind of shows on Fox Business. So Corey Lewandowski was on, and at one point, I guess he's slurring, and And Kennedy or one of the other ones says, were you drinking before you came on tonight?
President more than they love their country. And the fact is, they never had any firsthand account of what transpired.
Corey?
Yes?
Did you have a little Merlot with dinner?
No, should I have?
You sound a little slurry. You sound a little Biden-esque.
No, look. What I'm mad about, Kendi, is that they're still blaming the president.
President Kennedy used to sing that.
When he says president, too, at the beginning.
Listen, Kendi.
President Candy. Listen, Candy, that's the president does the thing, right? Chef? Does Merlot go sushi?
These guys, you got Giuliani. Some people have said that he's shown up after a dinner.
Doing a couple of snoozers or shivers.
The great thing about Giuliani now is he just doesn't waste any time. It's like those cars, 0 to 60. He gets on and he's angry with the host right out of the chute.
So I don't even know why you had me on your show. What you're talking about is saying is what President Trump's been doing. He's investigating
Mr. Giuliani.
Everything that led up to the investigation of 2016.
I just wanted to welcome you to the show.
You just wanted to point me in a direction. What I'm trying to do is I'm a hero. I'm the hero.
Mr. Giuliani. I don't feel...
Stop saying other people are heroes. I'm the hero.
Yeah. Are you trying to impress your president?
Trying to impress him. I love him so much.
Have you and Lewandowski out with the Merlot before you came here today?
Should we?
What?
All right, Kendi. I got Jared upset. He wants to be the executive producer now. Does it pay more money to be the executive producer?
I believe so.
Does it? What does it mean that it would be any different? If I just took a wand and waved it over your head and said, you are now, hold on just a moment. You are now executive producer. What is that? What would you have to do differently?
My Fred Blankenship, executive producer.
Yes. What would you have to do differently?
I'm doing the role of an executive producer.
Oh,
now.
So you're underpaid is what you're saying.
No, I didn't say that. You said that.
All I get is the grievances around here, for heaven's sake. What? All right. Nah.
What?
Nah.
What?
All right, we have to get to this because some weird stuff happened, not just on the campaign trail, but this was were both of these women at the AOC thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, her town hall last
She
night.
got crazy nonsense, and then she said strange stuff. So here's which one is more like the Charleston lady?
Probably cut 10.
Yeah, okay, so there's this crazy woman. I want to make sure we get this in. She crashes AOC's Green Town Hall, saying that we all need to start eating babies for the environment.
And getting rid of fossil fuel is not going to solve the problem fast enough. A Swedish professor saying we can eat dead people, but that's not fast enough. So I think your next campaign slogan has to be this: we got to start eating babies. We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2. All of you're a pollutant. Too much CO2. We have to start now, please. You are so great. I'm so happy that you're really supporting the Green Deal, but it's not enough. Even if we would bomb Russia, we still have too many people, too much pollution. So we have to get rid of the babies. That's a big problem. Just stopping having babies is not enough. We need to eat the babies. And this is very serious. Please give a response.
Thank you. We'll go ahead. Okay.
Listen, before we go on, I want to say one thing. My sense here is that that's a performance artist. My sense here, because I don't know if anybody remembers Jonathan Swift, A Modest Proposal. And when was that put out? Was that put out in the 16 or 1700s?
MDCCXXIX.
Good year.
It's a modest proposal for preventing the children of poor people from being a burden to their parents or the country, and for making them beneficial to the public.
Known as A Modest Proposal, in which he proposes that the children be eaten, right? Or all the children are killed, or something along those lines. And so because in this country, where we are now, there is no understanding of satire. Now, that lady is actually either bonkers or she's a very smart person.
No, I'm not bonkers.
You're pointing out how ridiculous the environmentalists are by
it's too much
making
CO2. I am in the movies, and there is a kid behind me, and he is being too loud, and he should be dead, and he is making too much CO2. It's just not enough.
He looks tasty too, doesn't he?
And he's nice and fat. Too much fast food. I like it.
I say that this is Josephine Swift. I think it's a modest. I'm going to say until I know more, she's either nuts or she actually is a performance artist.
Maybe
and satirist.
I'm a crazy performance artist. I just think babies should be dead.
Autumn, do you remember what this reminded me of is when Rick Santorum was running for the presidency in the primary, and this lady was at that, and this created the character Conspiracy Carol, right?
Yeah.
Because it was based on this lady, just to show that all politicians have to put up with this. This was a lady yelling at Rick Santorum. He wasn't even in the Senate anymore, blaming him. But her idea about what Obama was up to, quite something.
Obama tried to blow up a nuke in Charleston a few months ago, and the 3 admirals and generals, he has totally destroyed our military. He's fired all the generals and all the admirals that said they wouldn't fire on the American people if you asked them to do so, if he wanted to take the guns away from them. This man is a communist dictator. We need him out of that White House now.
And we got Conspiracy Carol out of that.
That's right, and it's important to understand that this is how the world really works, and you can't trust what's being told to you on the news or you're reading history books. Nothing like that. I mean, they fired everybody in that book house and trying to tell you about how to make history books accurate. But they're not. They don't know what's accurate.
I don't know. Hold on, Conspiracy Carol.
What?
So, because I think that's big news there. If you really Obama was going to drop a nuke on the port of Charleston.
That's right. He definitely tried.
He tried.
He tried.
And
he fired all the generals, the admirals, the corporals, and the sergeants that weren't going to fire the nuke. And then I don't know what happened, but it didn't happen. But I should have.
Fair and balanced, Conspiracy Carol. Obama, is that true? Did you call in members of the military and ask them this question?
I said to the members of the military, are you willing to fire on American people? And I said, if
he's never going to get to the point.
Excuse me,
he's
man.
not going to tell you the truth.
Excuse me.
Hold on, fair and balanced. Give it time.
I said, if not, I'm going to nuke Charleston.
See, I told you. And it was never reported on the news because they're not going to report on something like that.
Hey, enough of the okey doke. See what happened was. Hang on.
I have friends who live in Charleston. That never happened.
Let me tell you.
That's right. That's what I said. He's about to drop the nuke.
Couple decades ago, Russian sub, nuclear sub sank.
Yeah.
And we found the nuke. And I had it in my back pocket. And I was getting ready to use it. I was going to go ahead and level Charleston.
I told you that was going to happen. Another problem I was going to think about was that there's too many babies. There's too many babies in Charleston. They're taking up all the CO2.
You're not going to nuke the babies of Charleston.
No, we're going to eat them.
Obama tried to do it, and that was the only thing I agreed with him
Connecting 2011 with 2019, folks.
Yeah, no other show in America does that. Take that home. Competitors. Suck on that. All right. We got a big day today. I got to tell you about Mark Aram's going to be on from 3 to 5. Then Eric, they'll get a lot, get you to the park and around the traffic and all that. Eric Erickson 5 to 7. Doug Turnbull after that. Braves post game. You call in, talk, deeper traffic coverage. Well, that whole thing. We're done for the week, but we're not done because we still go over and do the podcast 30. How can people join us?
They can
join us.
They can go to 2 places, Eric. They can go to the Von Haessler Doctrine Facebook page or the WSB Radio Facebook page.
Oh, you don't say.
I do say. There are 2 little red boxes on either of those pages. All you have to do is click it or tap it, and you can watch us do the podcast 30.
Well,
it's almost like you're in the studio.
That's a box of a different color.
That's exciting.
What? Snacky will be there.
Yeah, I will.
Thanks for listening to the Von Haessler Doctrine podcast. Remember, you can hear the show every weekday from 9 to noon right here on 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Like current events and want to be the smartest among your friends? Then the Power Pod is the show for you.
The Power Pod is a weekly recap show where we cover the current events of the week.
It's a show where we're not afraid to get serious.
And we're not afraid to have some fun.
So try us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, the WSB Radio app, WSBRadio.com, Stitcher, CastBox. Okay. Anywhere there are podcasts, we are there. So power up with the Power Pod.
All right, ready to put the ting-ting into your tang-tang. Oh, bop, bop, ba doo ba bop, doo bop, diddy bop, doo bop. This is actually, a lot of people don't know this, but this is the last recorded work of Ella Fitzgerald. Be careful if you have any glass lying around.
She did break glass, didn't she?
She broke glass on those was it Memorex?
Memorex. Is it live or is it Memorex?
Yeah, she would go, wee, and then the glass would break. It's one of the first commercials I really remember. That was early 70s the first time I saw it. All right.
I love her, by the way.
Ella Fitzgerald?
Mm-hmm.
You know what they say about Ella Fitzgerald? This is Tim Andrews, and J-Rad is on the tunes, and Autumn Fisher's got a spider
spinning
in her mouth.
them.
A little dead mouse today.
The only thing that Ella Fitzgerald, I think, has just got an unbelievable voice.
Mm-hmm.
The criticism against her was that she was too perfect. That it was too pitch perfect. Like there was no soul necessarily. That she was like a perfectionist who did things perfectly, but that you would lose a little bit. Whereas who's this? I'm blanking on the name. Stars Fell on Alabama.
Oh, geez, I don't know.
What?
Lady Sings the Blues.
Oh, Diana Ross.
No. Who she played?
Oh.
Why?
Yeah.
All right. There's
Billy,
computers.
Billy?
Yes. Billie
Yes.
Holiday.
Billie Holiday.
Yeah, but you listen to Ella Fitzgerald sing Miss Otis Regrets, and
Oh my God! That's
tell me
one of
that
my
you
favorite
hate it
songs.
because it's too perfect.
No, I don't. I
know.
love Ella Fitzgerald. You know, this is an interesting conversation I was going to have on the radio, but we already went into Joker so deep. So I am not afraid to admit, and I know that I have to. There has to be a caveat here, and maybe there even shouldn't be. I just feel like I want people to know me. So here's the caveat. Right? It's not a warning or anything. It's a caveat. What Eric Haessler is about to tell you in no way says anything about his sexuality. Okay,
Sure.
so that's out there,
All
right?
Okay.
I'm already worried.
All right. Oh, boy. Do you want to hit the disclaimer?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I think that Judy Garland is the greatest singer, at least in our recording of singing history, ever.
Really?
I think she has, absolutely.
Do you think because of an emotional standpoint?
Because of the voice, which is unique and nobody else sounds like that.
Sure.
And the emotional thing and what she brings to it. And also, what's not known about me too much, or maybe a little bit, but not celebrated nearly enough, is that I am a big fan of show business and entertainers.
Old Hollywood.
Yeah, but I mean, just even new people who entertain, but entertainers. And Judy Garland was that. And her voice, I just don't think you can top it. That's subjective. That's an opinion. I get it. So this movie, which tackles like the last year of her life, which was a mess, a complete mess, a drug-induced haze, and I'm interested in it, and it looks to me like Renee Zellweger really went out of her way. It's Zellweger, right?
Yeah,
I'm right.
yes. You got her.
To really get the look of Judy Garland in this period down. She was a mess. But they made what I think, I know a lot of other music movies. Did the guy who played Freddie Mercury, did he sing his own songs?
No, he didn't. That was
he lip-synced?
Adam Lambert sang, and it was the guy who's playing the villain in James Bond now. What's his?
No, Rami Malek. But Adam Lambert sings for the movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rami Malek can't sing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine.
Darling.
Now years ago, it didn't matter when, and I think it was a good thing. The first time I know of this, Gary Busey played Buddy Holly in the Buddy Holly story. And Gary Busey, you with me, Gary?
Yeah, I saw that movie. I saw it. It was really good.
You were in
Before
it.
the brain injury.
This was before the brain injury.
I saw it. In fact, when I saw the movie, I had to remind myself that I was in it and that I played Buddy Holly and that I won an Oscar or was nominated for an Oscar. I didn't win, but I learned how to do things, and I knew that when I went ahead and forged my acting career post Buddy Holly movie, that was going to be my future.
So when Gary Busey did it, Gary Busey was a singer, and Buddy Holly wasn't known for his voice necessarily, and so it worked. It was better just to have Gary Busey, who was a musician, guitar player, and a singer.
Sissy Spacek sang
it right, and that worked
Coal
for
miner's
that.
daughter.
And she was able to kind of pull that off as almost like an imitation. I don't think. This is what turns me off about this movie, and I don't know if I'll see it, even though as much as I'm interested in the subject matter. Renee Zellweger is singing.
She can sing.
I know she can sing, but nobody can sing like Judy Garland. Again, you should not confuse this with having anything to say about my sexuality.
She might be portraying her so flawlessly that you'll forgive the voice not sounding exactly the same.
It's going to stand
Have
out
you
to
heard
me.
it? We should find it and play a little of it.
Yeah. Maybe if somebody can find if there's anything out there. Does it come out this week, or has it been out?
I think it's been out.
All right.
I'll look. I know she talked to the AP recently about the role. I'm trying to. I pulled that sound a couple weeks ago.
I don't need that.
She didn't have the range. This article I just
because nobody does.
Right.
There's no other voice like that.
Boy, she looks like her all beat up.
Oh, Judy Garland was only 47 years old when
Whoa,
she killed herself.
really?
Yes. I'm pretty
She had
sure.
a rough life.
Somebody look it up. I think I could be wrong. I don't want to be wrong, but I think she was 47. And she looked like she was 62.
All those allegations that she was abused by members of the studio and
she was abused.
The little people.
They had their hands and stuff.
Yeah.
That wasn't. But she wasn't. I'm not diminishing that. I'm just saying that it wasn't. Whatever. She was definitely
abused.
She was definitely abused by, I think, Louis B.
Studio.
Mayer
Yeah.
Studios, not sexually that I know of, but mentally.
She was 47.
She was 47. You see how she looks at the end of her career. You thought.
I bet you always
thought she was in her 60s.
I thought she was in her 50s.
Yeah,
early
56,
60s,
57.
maybe something.
Yeah. But so it's an interesting time in her career, and she was losing everything. And there's a great book that's not in circulation anymore, and I don't know where it is in my house. You remember Mel Torme?
Yeah.
Mel Torme, The Velvet Fog. I believe he wrote Chestnuts, the Christmas song, Chestnuts
Yes.
Roasting. I know he didn't write it, but he was the first one to sing it.
He had great albums, or his voice was
Unbelievable, this guy. So he wrote a book. She did. I'm always fascinated by the fact that and you can find him on YouTube. When she had no money at this point, and that's what this movie's about. She was doing these live shows in England at the time, and kind of showing up drunk and messy. And then sometimes she'd be great, and other times the audience would walk away. It was a real weird time. But right before then, I think she had a TV show on CBS, and she was completely bonkers at this point. I mean, just her life was out of control. And Mel Torme was the musical director, and they ended up hating each other over this 12-month, 14-month period. And he wrote a book called The Other Side of the Rainbow, where he kind of trashes her, but also has her as a sympathetic, character in the end. He feels sorry for her in the end. She screws him over, he sues her, and then talks about this performance. Thing about Judy Garland is, no matter how down she was, she could always muster up one more great performance.
The show must go on.
Yeah, she would go out on some of these shows, these live shows, and just kick ass. And with these TV show, what they ended up doing was taking segments from one, matching it to the other. She would show up late. Sometimes crowds would be there at Television City at 1 in the morning, and then she goes on. But then she would just suddenly, for 15 minutes, be unbelievable while she's singing, and the crowd was like, oh my God, I can't believe that I saw that. So it ended poorly between them, and he ended up suing her. And when they get to, I don't think it was a courtroom, but a deposition kind of thing, he's like, she could always turn it on. And she just turned on the acting thing. And
she's been doing it for so long, right?
Yeah,
it's probably easier to be on stage than to be off stage.
You know, Bob Einstein was the head writer on that show.
Really?
You're talking about, Bob Einstein is...
what's his name, Mr. Magnificent or something?
I know it's Super Dave Osborne.
Yeah,
But he's who's his brother?
Your favorite comedian, Albert Brooks.
Albert Brooks, who changed his name because his first name was Albert.
Albert Einstein.
Being Einstein would be kind of stupid.
Do you want to hear? I believe this is Renee Zellweger singing "Over the Rainbow."
Is it Renee Zellweger?
I'm pretty sure it is. I can't
from the movie.
I can't preview. It says it's from the Judy album. So let's see.
So it's supposed to be a live version of it when she's 47 or whatever.
All right, get to it, Renee.
There's a land that I've heard of.
Well, I'll give her this. So you can stop right there.
Roxy Hart.
She's finding. Yeah, she sang in Chicago. Right?
Yeah.
She is getting that little weird resonance thing at the bottom end. I'll give it to her.
She is, but she doesn't have that deep, rich.
Well, we heard a couple seconds.
Smoking.
Find the original from that. Okay. Find her singing it toward the end.
Well, we can't do that. You're going to be able to find her, but you can't find the original. You can't. You got to find her at 47 singing it to compare.
Okay.
Right. Oh, sorry, you're right.
Not her at 16. But she was playing 12 when she was 16.
Boy, she looked good in that dress.
I'm going to ask. I'm going to bring English Nick up to speed so he doesn't ask what we're talking
What are you talking
about? So
you may have noticed I don't ask anymore.
I know you're doing good.
Yeah.
So I say that this is no reflection on my sexuality, but I've always thought Judy Garland had the greatest voice ever. For definitely for a female singer in the recorded era of songs. And we're talking about here is whether or not Renee Zellweger, the idea that she's going to sing the songs. Now, Renee Zellweger, she looks just like her at that time. I mean, she's throwing herself into it. But why are people so against lip syncing in movies?
I mean, the guy who played Freddie Mercury,
Billie Eilish will lip sync at the
Music
Midtown, but we can't have
the guy who played Freddie did not sing all of it. Another guy sang the Freddie stuff in the movie.
Well, he was just saying it was Adam Lambert.
No.
Who's singing for them?
No, it was the guy who toured and came with the symphony.
Why didn't they just have Freddie Mercury do the vocals?
Well, there was some real
dead,
Queen.
darling.
There
No,
was
surely the way music.
Yeah, Eric, he's dead.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
I
but
didn't
his
realize.
teeth are still alive somewhere.
But when you
That's all it's in the
record,
casket.
everything is on a different channel, right? So we have Freddie's voice alone on a
he's
channel.
isolated.
Yeah.
I believe in Bohemian Rhapsody, some of the original Queen music was used with Freddie, but there were certain scenes where it wanted to be live. And so Mark, what's his name?
All right, whatever.
McGrath.
It wasn't. Well, yeah.
But now
Put
Adam
a fly for a
Lambert.
white guy.
I just want to fly.
Adam Lambert travels with Queen.
Oh, he tours with Queen, but he's also putting out his own new music. He just put out a new album.
He's a hot
70s funk rock
Mark
meets
Martel?
top 40. It's really kind of
Mark
cool.
Martelli. That's what everyone's saying on
Mark
Facebook
Martel,
Live.
that's it. That's the guy.
All right,
I don't know who
hold
that
on.
is.
Hold on a second. Freddie Mercury says that Adam Lambert is a hack?
He's a hack, darling. He doesn't even like cats.
Oh, this Mark Martel, he was on, he kind of went viral for just singing
Oh,
in
is he
his
the one that
room.
sang Someone to Love?
Yes.
Like Pitch Perfect,
Yeah, it
spot
was
on
really
cover.
good.
He's
Was
great.
he a homeless guy?
No.
I'm
I got
confusing.
your voiceovers, but first I'm going to need $1 and a couple of smokes. You want to
And a
buy
little
me
bit of
something to drink?
macaroni and cheese.
Oh, that's right. Macaroni and cheese. Now give me my crack.
I want to hear that guy tell the story about his wife and 2 kids stranded across town, need to get a ticket to the MARTA bus to get to the car.
How you doing?
Man, I don't have any money, man.
Oh, that's too bad because my wife and my kid, I got to get them on a bus. My daughter's graduating from high school. And by the way, let me tell you about Kraft macaroni and cheese. It doesn't take very long to make. It's very cheesy. Liquid gold. That's right.
Wasn't there a new one of those from the Atlanta airport last? A homeless
There's
lady.
a lady who
There's
was
a lady,
singing.
a homeless
Yeah.
lady who's singing, and that went viral.
She got a bunch of donations, I
That
believe.
was that would have been Judy Garland had she not
Give
taken
me
her
some
own.
money, I'm at the
Speaking of
airport.
Judy, I think I have her final Over the Rainbow performance here, so I think this is it.
All right, we can A/B these.
This is
So
Judy?
we were listening to Renee Zellweger earlier to see if she was able to pull it off. Let's see. Yeah, well, they put a big band on it. You know?
They had to wake her up.
Yeah.
Dedicated to you. Thank you for coming. Somewhere over the rainbow.
Oh wow. This is right before she died, killed herself.
It's saying March 25th, 1969.
You know what? Maybe at this point her voice was so shot that it's okay for Zellweger to do it because she's doing this voice rather than the one that we know. Rather than clang, 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 went the trolley.
She reminds me of her mother in this performance. It's very Liza.
Her
You mean her daughter?
I mean her daughter. It's very Liza. Sorry, yeah, her daughter.
Oh,
Well,
Liza.
they have that same vibrato.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. Okay.
Maybe this time.
My business partner's mother's related to Judy Garland.
Really?
Her last name Gum?
Gum, yeah. Her
G-U-M-M.
mother's maiden name is
What's
Gum.
her first name? Annie?
James,
Francis.
James
Francis
Gum.
Gum.
Related to like a
No,
cousin or
Jane
something.
Gum is the killer in.
What happened to
Put the lotion in the... That's right.
Put
whatever
the lotion in the basket.
I got some night goggles.
He got the name. The name of the two killers of his first two books in the Dragon one.
Yeah.
That
Red
guy's
Dragon?
name is
Red
Francis Dollarhide. Her name is Francis.
Right.
And then Jamie Gum is
I
Judy
get it.
Garland.
Now,
so.
this is something I do not know. I believe that Judy Garland started in. They were the Gum sisters. What happened to the sisters?
She killed her.
Did she?
They
ate them?
choked on their gum.
You know, she had another daughter too. Was their other daughter a singer?
Yeah, Lorna Luft.
Yeah, Lorna Luft.
She's in the well. She's in the well.
She had a song early MTV, didn't
Someday I'll get out of this well.
There you go. See, she's still in the well.
She did.
My mom's a real important
Did she sing "I Know What's Going"? I know there's something going on.
No, that was Rockwell.
No.
That's somebody's watching me.
Oh.
It always feels like somebody's watching me.
Look up Lorna Luft. I feel like she had a little bit of a career.
Well, she's going to be starring in White Christmas off Broadway this year.
Yeah, she's still doing it.
Dreaming.
Sisters.
Here's my other fear about the movie, Judy. It will not address.
Fears about.
It will not address which dimension she's in Twin Peaks.
Oh.
No, my fear, my other fear of Judy is the way Hollywood is. They always concentrate on. They take these great people. They did this to Johnny Cash.
The darkness.
They did it to Ray Charles, and it's just always the concentration. It's the same story. You know, they all messed up in drugs, and with Johnny Cash. I mean, Johnny Cash. I think Chris Rock made a joke about it at the Oscars. If you haven't seen the what was the John Walk the Line?
Hard.
If you haven't seen Walk the Line,
I was thinking Walk Hard. Yeah, Walk
I
Hard.
know. And that whole scene, like those series of scenes where he's in the bath, he's like, "You don't want to do this. This is called cocaine." And then a couple months later, like, "You don't want to do this. It's heroin."
Chris Rock had a joke. It was like, if you haven't seen Walk the Line, it's basically Ray with white people. Like, it was the same movie.
Yeah, it's like the young up and coming artist.
Yeah.
He meets the love of his life. They're happy as hell. He gets some success. He cheats on her. Then the drugs and the alcohol. Then the decline.
Yeah, and then a little bit of rehab at the end.
Yeah.
And I saw Liza recently, and she's got the God bless you United States lingo.
Yes, darling. It's Liza with the Z.
Yeah,
Lisa was the S. Lisa was the left. It's not.
God bless. United States. I love
with those teeth.
Yeah,
you
and
would be able to do that song.
She's like, she says, I just hope they don't do what they always do.
They always
with
do.
the movie. Man, have you ever seen? Have you ever seen Cabaret?
Of course.
Oh, not the
I never have.
I had not seen that movie in my life until probably 10 years ago, and I was knocked out.
Isn't it amazing?
It's brilliant.
Great.
It is brilliant.
It is great in every way. And she, like, to me, Liza Minnelli, like to me, she's always kind of like the boozy Liza, marries gay guys who are her manager, Liza. This is way before that. Yeah. I mean,
I have goosebumps.
She is
Bossy,
vibrant.
She's sexy too, right?
Sexy.
She owns it, dude. She owns it.
Like, she really, that's a great movie. Now, here's
Divine
another-
Decadence.
Yeah, I was, because like if you like the way the Chicago is done, I realized they kind of took that from Cats.
It's Fosse.
It's the same guy. Yeah.
Same guy,
person, yeah.
right? So because it was a musical, but it was mostly the music was on stage being performed for people. It wasn't, they didn't. It wasn't when they're away from the theater.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't like, "Hey, I'm going to the store," that kind of thing.
Tell us, Roxy.
So who's that? Joel Grey. My mom loved Joel Grey when I was a kid. Yeah, she loved him. So she loved Liza and she loved Judy.
I loved his daughter in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Then she got her nose all chopped up
Why'd she get her nose all chopped
to
up?
look more gentile.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And she looks so Jennifer Grey, from.
That's right. I knew that and forgot it.
She had to pretend that she couldn't dance in Dirty Dancing.
That's right. That's a movie I've never seen, thank God.
Oh my
I've never
God,
seen
it's
it either.
great.
I don't feel like I'll ever lose anything in life if I don't see Dirty Dancing.
Never seen Dirty Dancing.
My mom used to fast forward through the sex scene in Dirty Dancing. I'd have to call her like, "It's coming on," and she'd come in and fast forward.
Yeah, that really helped a lot.
That's almost more embarrassing than actually watching the sex scene with your parents.
It's a good movie, even if you don't like dancing.
I've never seen Dirty Dancing. I've never seen Footloose. I guess dancing movies in the 80s didn't turn me on.
Footloose sucks.
I've never seen Top Gun all in a row. I've seen parts of it in so many different places.
Better get ready. The sequel's coming soon.
What?
I've seen the whole movie, but just not together.
Never seen it.
Let me tell you a little story.
No, I've never seen Top Gun. I've never seen Pretty in Pink.
Let me tell you a Top Gun story.
Yeah.
Me and my good friend Paul.
Yeah, Skittles.
We both had 50cc mopeds, right?
Yeah.
Do about 35-mile-an-hour tops.
Mine was a tricycle.
And we rode 30 miles to Yeovil in Somerset to see Top Gun.
30?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, how long did that take?
Oh, 30. You
Well,
do that.
30 miles an hour.
About an hour and 10 minutes.
I guess it's not bad.
If you're going 30 miles an hour, how long does it take
I mean,
to go 30
miles?
I can't add.
Anyway,
Hold on a sec.
that was my
Did you feel that it was worth it?
Oh, absolutely. We loved it. Yeah.
Was it
16
raining?
years
Was
old.
it raining or anything?
I don't know if it rained that day.
Yeah, that'd be.
Did you feel like, wow,
But we
Americans are so badass?
Oh, it was so good. Being 16 years old, growing up in the village and seeing that, like, wow, this is so cool.
Any rockers come along and knock you off your scooter?
No.
They weren't going to see Quadrophenia.
Any chavs?
So,
right.
No, they were actually mopeds that looked like motorcycles. They weren't the scooter type.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, yesterday, since we're just talking about entertainment and stuff, I watched the first 5 innings of the Braves game, but I had my AirPods on. I had the sound down because I was listening to the new remix of Abbey Road.
Didn't you just love it?
Not the new Porter Robinson remix?
What?
Oh, not the new Porter Robinson track that came out yesterday?
No. Well, I'm getting to it.
Oh, okay.
One thing at a time.
I got it on vinyl last Saturday from
really?
Criminal, and I love it on vinyl. It's so warm. It's so much.
I don't know. I was listening. It's hard for me to tell. First of all, you remix something like Abbey Road. They had to make sure that they just didn't mess it up. It's already great. I mean, so all you can do is maybe remove a little bit of dust so you can see the picture
feel like
better.
the EQs are tweaked a little bit, but not crazy.
Sometimes the vocals are like, oh, what? That's a little different. But the other 2 albums are full of outtakes and things like that, which are very interesting. Now, one of 2 things are going on here. Either they're still covering up how much these guys couldn't stand being in a room together back then, or that's not true.
Yeah.
Because one thing that comes off through all of this stuff is they're joking, they're laughing. I mean, this is their last album. This is after Let It Be.
Right.
Was with that whole period of time. And look, I know for a fact that in the 80s at a theater, I went and saw Let It Be, and it was very negative. And that is not around. And Paul McCartney does not want people to see that. But it's the real history of what happened. Now, McCartney might be saying, you were trying to be dramatic by editing it that way, but in reality, those were just moments. Most of the time we were having fun. Or McCartney's still in charge of what gets out there, because if you listen to this stuff, they sound like they're going to make 3 or 4 more albums together. I mean, they're just having
fun. You think that they're in the studio and they're in the middle of something creative and doing something, and so you just kind of...
You go with it.
You just go with it.
It's hard, though. I did that in my last job, but you know what? There wasn't a lot of playfulness. I was there because I was being paid, and there was a lot of tension, and I was a professional, so I got through that tension on the air. But this is, remember, we're now listening to stuff that they never thought anybody would hear. So
there's some photographs that Yoko took.
Yeah.
Where John and Paul are at the microphone together singing vocals, and man, they look happy as pigs and you know what. I mean, they seem like it's so good.
But I'm saying is one of 2 things is happening. I know for a fact I saw a version of Let It Be.
I saw that too. I remember.
And people say that it was that the original was very. The movie Let It Be was released on VHS and has never been released again.
That's what I had it in as VHS.
Yeah.
Unless they don't
want to see it. Is that the movie where they're on top of the building?
It's all of the before that too, though, with them in the studio.
What happened was
changed the narrative.
They were supposed to make 4 movies, and they made 2 of them. They made in earnest, Hard Day's Night and Help. Then they got like, we're sick of this stuff. So they brought in an animator and fake Beatles to do the voices for Yellow Submarine, but they were still on the hook for one more movie. So I was like, well, let's just do a documentary. And then somebody got the idea. Well, let's put you in a studio. So they weren't at Abbey Road at first. They were a studio at Twickenham, a television studio, and they're angry with each other. They're out of sorts. Then the movie moves back over to Abbey Road, and it ends with them going up on the roof. But the version I saw was very tension-filled. I mean, there's one part, Ringo walks out, George Harrison is pissed off at everybody. Paul McCartney is coming off as a jerk, which might have a lot to do with why he doesn't, but I don't think he's a jerk. I think he's saying, dude, we got work to do here. So he decided no one's leading. So I'm going to step in and I'm going to lead. Then there was resentment from all of that. And there's a conversation in the version of Let It Be that I saw where Paul is really in a condescending way telling George how to play. It's that, what is it? Is it, I've got a feeling, is it down, 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 and he's going, no, down, down, down. And then you see George Harrison. George Harrison's like, well, I'll play it one way, I'll play it the other way. I'll play it whichever way Paul McCartney wants me to play it.
That's awesome.
A lot of tension.
You'll do as you're told, you weirdo.
Then there's another one.
This isn't a sit-down.
Another one that jumped out at me for them was McCartney is talking to John Lennon in earnest about them going back to doing live shows. And he's making a really good point about how we're just living off the fumes of how much our audience loves us. We haven't engaged with the audience. We're not doing, and in the back of his mind, he's probably thinking about the Rolling Stones are out there. They're doing live shows. And he's making a good case. And in the movie, John Lennon is like doing that thing with your arms where he doesn't go, but he does that thing with your arms where he's like, oh, this is boring.
Stretching?
I'm
like
tired.
Whatever.
Not giving him any kind of thing. And then you listen to the stuff that I heard yesterday from the demos and the outtakes, and there's one part that's great. I think they're doing I Want You. And they have a complaint from neighbors that it's too loud. And you think, why are they still around? It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Why are they still around? And then they do one more take, and Lennon says, a last chance at being loud. And his voice is toast. And I'm listening to this. What's cool about it is, it's like, oh, I know the one thing they got out of this, which was because of his fried voice, the one where he goes, yeah, it's like, obviously, that's what they pulled from this take. But I will say this is my little review.
Is that his est period?
That came right a little bit, yeah. But
Mother!
wow!
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of cheating going on here, and I have to check it a little bit, but I think I heard two things in the outtakes or the alternate versions that were part of the what was that called? The chronology. What was that called?
Oh, yeah. The things that came out in the 3
90s.
albums that came out in the 90s.
Anthology.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of alternate takes on there, and I think that there's a George Harrison something outtake that I think was on the anthology. I can't remember that word.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one that I feel like I
think
heard on there.
I think that happens more than with artists when they re-release stuff again and again.
Yeah,
like,
this
they're going to grab stuff.
This costs a lot of money unless you have iTunes. It's completely free.
So are you upset that they're recycling the same content again? Or are you
I'm
upset
just saying
that
if you're gonna give me, I'm just saying if you're going to give me stuff, and this is if you buy the record, what is it, $50 for the whole set or something like that? $35.
If you bought the thing on vinyl, it was $100.
All right.
$99.
So if you're going to give me,
I just bought the album itself. I didn't want anything else. 'Cause I can get the other stuff on Apple Music.
If you're giving me alternate takes, then they should be new.
Yeah.
If it's a new thing, it's 50-year anniversary, whatever. It should be new. So
I'm just blown. I think this is because I've always had the album on CD.
Yeah.
And then you have a tendency to skip around.
And
Having it on vinyl made me listen to it all this week in its entirety over and over, and it was just like,
here comes the side two.
So
man.
good.
Side two.
It's so good, man.
It's side two. Come on.
Everything about it.
Everything's great, but side two just knocks it over.
Side 2 is all interconnected. You can't listen to one song off of that side 2. Maybe
Here Comes the Sun.
And
that's
that's
a separate
it.
song.
That's like
sort
a
of sets the
part.
table.
That's like the end of side 1.
Yeah, kind of. Although I would say that I Want You is the beginning of side 2.
Exactly.
Because it is interesting to hear them sing these songs separate. when they're not in the medley, or they haven't really put it together like that.
Yeah. Right.
And you hear the beginnings of that, because that album, with different people singing different songs, they successfully bring back that dun 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 dun. And and the thing that starts in "I Want You" is a little bit of a variation of that, of dun dun dun. Oh, this is another cool thing. The outtake of "I Want You" has Billy Preston going wild.
I heard that. They're playing it on the Beatles station
my.
on XM, and I was freaking out.
And the only thing I can think, the reason that George Martin decided not to, is to keep it, that you can hear him in there a little bit in the mix on the album, but I think that when they made the decision to go for hypnotic trance, then they didn't want anything. They wanted to just keep going over and over, so they could lead you to that hard stop.
When I was listening to it, Ellie was like, "Is this Halloween music?" I was like, "Kind of. It kind of sounds like
Billy
that."
Preston is losing his mind on it. It's great.
My buddy Randy spins at Argosy over, and he's sitting down on Wednesday nights. And I pop in sometimes, and he'll take a smoke break. He's like, "Hey, you can jump back and spin whatever you want."
Yeah.
So his buddy Mike was standing there, and there was many people in the bar, and I put on "I Want You." And he goes, "Oh man, I can't wait till it gets to a certain part." And at one point, I looked at him. We're both standing there in the DJ booth, just completely tranced.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And there was nothing involved. We were pretty sober. It was just like, whoa.
No matter how many times you hear it, it's very difficult to anticipate the end of the song.
Yeah, I know.
No matter how many times you hear it, because it just ends, and you're just like,
I'd forgotten. I hadn't heard it in so long.
And no matter how many times you hear it, you think, because usually if you hear something, you go, something tips you off. You go, okay, here we go. This is the end.
Yeah.
But it's the way that you should listen to that album, Jared Young.
I'd love it. Can I borrow it?
With your eyes closed.
No,
and no other stimuli.
Is it on Spotify?
Unless you're walking.
You don't do
maybe.
Apple Music?
I use Spotify. I know.
But
It's on Amazon also.
Is it
for free?
It's
For
on
free.
Well, if you pay for Amazon Music.
If you pay for Apple Music, it's on there.
I've got a long drive tonight.
The whole thing
Happy
is
to
free.
listen to it.
Listen, I don't care if it doesn't even have to be the new one. There was a remastered one from about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I have that one too.
There was also a 25th anniversary one, I believe.
Yeah. You know what? I just, because I feel like you listen to the White Album all the way through, and I thought, is that the first Beatles album you really want to listen to all the way through?
No, Abbey Road.
I'm not so sure. I'm not saying you never heard Beatles before, but I mean dedicated listening.
That you're right. That was the first album that I listened track to track all the way through
I
like
don't
that.
know if that's
I've listened to a ton of Beatles, but not in the right sequence.
When you're driving, and after at that point where you don't have to chat with your girlfriend for a few minutes.
Well, we're not leaving till later tonight, so honestly, I bet the rest of them will probably be tired. So
Are you allowed to listen to tunes while you drive?
That's
my
of course.
Rule.
It's
that's
my
rule.
radio.
I drive, so
It's
I
my
listen to my tunes.
radio.
So yeah, have them all. Have everybody be quiet, and just once they're quiet, and just from the beginning to the end, because I don't think it's possible to listen to that. I think side one is great, but I think it's just an album. It's just a great album, and then when Here Comes the Sun starts through that,
came in through
that's
the
just unbelievable.
window.
And it's interesting to hear the demos for some of that stuff, because things like You Never Give Me Your Money it started out really kind of more soulful, and before they made the decision to really turn this into an audio
The Ballad of John and Yoko is on that too.
The Ballad of John and Yoko is on there. Great version. It's obviously Paul who's playing the drums, and John sings. John says right before he goes, "All right, let's go, Ringo," and Paul says, "Okay, George," and then he goes into it. That's the other thing that was on Anthology. On this one is that Paul McCartney went in alone, played every instrument as a demo for Badfinger for If You Want It, Here It Is, Come and Get It. And I'd heard that before. And on this big 50th anniversary thing, that's on there again. It's like, if you're a Beatles fan, you already have that. Yeah. It's a little bit of a cheat.
I didn't get into the third anthology discs. I really only listened to the first one over and over and over.
I think the third one is the best.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't into the older stuff yet. I was still all in the mix of the early stuff.
Yeah. My buddy T-Shawn Shannon told me once a long time ago, you know how they used to do the Beatles things inside of like a laser show in a
gym?
Like the Fox and stuff?
No, not at the Fox, but
they did them at the Fox.
Stars places.
Oh, yeah.
Why can't I think of that word?
Planetarium.
Planetarium.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of the Fox, Tom York Sunday night. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, if he stays awake.
He dances a lot, apparently.
Anyway, my buddy told me that they go to the Beatles, and it's a laser light show in the planetarium, and it was almost 80% early Beatles. What?
Oh.
You're not going to do the psychedelic stuff?
I need somebody.
All right, go Braves. Go Dogs. Be careful when you're driving, Jared. We do love you here. And listen to that album.
I will.
Dummy.
Hey, Acuna Jr., run.
Yeah, stop admiring yourself.
What?